Chapter 1243. In the depths of the inner region of the universe vessel, there was a vast expanse of black mud, as far as the eye could see. It was as though the entire place was a black swamp. High up in the sky was a boundless sea of lava. Whoosh, 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 large amounts of lava fell from the sky. In the process of falling, they rapidly froze and turned into black rock. After that, they gradually softened and flowed slowly like black mercury, forming this black swamp. Above the sea of lava, below the black swamp, this was the infamous ice-fire region. Because in the depths of the cosmos boat's inner area, there were too many similar dangerous places. There were millions of them. Hence, the names were very random. However, one should not underestimate these dangerous places just because of their simple names. Goo goo goo, in one area of the black swamp, bubbles suddenly appeared. Following which, more and more bubbles appeared, causing some of the black swamp to fly up. Hua hua hua, circles of huge ripples appeared in this area of the black swamp, and then spread out in all directions. The commotion became bigger and bigger. Hong, 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 hong. That region of the black swamp began to tremble. Such a great disturbance left everyone horrified. About 10 light years away from that area, there was an incomparably small and elegant pointed palace floating in the air. In this elegant and firm palace there were 3 experts. Behind the 3 of them, there was a one-eyed shadow. Obviously, they were experts from the Holy-Eyed clan. Although the environment of the ice-fire region is harsh and extremely dangerous, there are traces of danger. It is a rare good place in the inner area of the cosmos boat. A tall golden-armored Holy-Eyed clanman laughed. Although there are very few treasures that appear, when they do, they are all at the level of peak domain palaces. Ai, you and your wife have been waiting here for a long time. I am really envious. It is a good place. However, a good place has many forces eyeing it. A short Holy-Eyed clanman sneered. The 2 Holy-Eyed clan cosmos are free and unfettered. However, the other forces from our first reincarnation era. There are also a few forces that have experts guarding here. Jin Fang, if you are really envious, why don't we exchange? Jin Fang, how about we, husband and wife, exchange the area that you and your brother are stationed in? The lady from the Holy-Eyed clan, who had a pleasant voice and was wearing a loose black robe, laughed. The Master of Shadow Cloud and the Master of Voodoo Venom were 2 of the strongest in the Holy-Eyed clan. Furthermore, they were husband and wife, so they usually moved together. One was good at close combat, while the other was good at soul attacks. The 2 of them teamed up to traverse the vast cosmic sea, and it was rare for them to meet a worthy opponent. The 2 of them were also very famous. The 2 of them stayed in the flame ice region for a long time. No. The golden-armored tall man shook his head. In the entire cosmos ship inner region, our Holy-Eyed clan doesn't know many good places. Our brothers spent a lot of effort to be qualified to guard that place. Although the number of treasures that appear there might not be as many as yours, it's safer there. Cowardly and afraid of death. The Master of Shadow Armageddon sneered. Really? The woman was about to speak, but she couldn't help but frown. The Lord of Shadow Cloud's eyes lit up as well, and he carefully sensed it. That direction. That's it. The Lord of Shadow Dust and the Lord of Voodoo Chi turned to look in the same direction at the same time. The husband and wife pair exchanged a glance, and they both understood that there was a commotion, and it wasn't a small one at that. Jin Fang, do you want to go? Asked the Lord of Shadow Dust. Congratulations, it seems like we're going to gain something, said the golden-armored man. Go, of course I want to go. Both of you can sense that our Holy-Eyed clan isn't the only one guarding this place. The 2 of you might not be able to handle it. I have to help. If you can help, I'll give you benefits. If you can't, then there's no benefit, said the Lord of Voodoo Chi directly. Let's make this clear first. Of course. The golden-armored man nodded. Then let's go. Let's go. Whoosh. The palace with a pointed roof immediately transformed into a jade-green rainbow light, advancing in the void between the endless scorching lava sea and the ice-cold, dangerous black swamp below. In another part of the void in the flame ice region, there was a pyramid-shaped building flying. Inside the pagoda, a bald man held a cup of wine and drank leisurely. At the same time, his gaze passed through the palace's treasure and looked outside. He was enjoying the harsh environment outside. The bald man frowned. There's a special commotion. Could it be that a treasure has appeared? I'm so lucky. I'm just on my way back and I actually met such a good thing. Let's go take a look. Whoosh. The pyramid swiftly headed in the direction it sensed. A small blood light was traveling at 100 times the speed of light within the flame ice region. Core space. Luo Feng sat there, his gaze looking outside. In his hand was a cup of steaming green tea. Engravings could be seen within his eyes. A very small commotion immediately radiated outward. Luo Feng's eyes immediately regained their clarity. A special commotion. Luo Feng muttered softly. In such a dangerous place like the flame ice region, space and time were extremely stable. It was very hard to cause the frozen space to tremble and have any commotion. The strongest warrior in the universe using his strength to break through? A treasure has appeared? A calamity has descended on the flame ice region? Luo Feng muttered softly. The higher probability is that a treasure has appeared. I, Luo Feng, have been in the universe boat for close to 1,000 years. Other than killing the 5-turbid lord and getting the mad demon destroyer armor, the only treasure I've truly discovered, the most valuable, is that top-grade domain treasure Snow Fire World. I haven't even seen a pinnacle palace before. It's about time I find a better treasure. Luo Feng thought. Anything that appeared in the inner region was definitely a top-grade treasure. The treasures he had encountered were the top-grade domain treasures. In the inner region, they were indeed inconspicuous. In such a harsh environment like the flame ice region, top-grade domain treasures wouldn't be able to survive. They would immediately be destroyed by the natural environment. Let's go take a look. So, Luo Feng followed his senses and controlled the star pagoda to swiftly fly over. The flame ice region was vast and vast. One could only teleport at the edge. Luo Feng was already deep in and could only continue flying. After flying for about a month. Luo Feng frowned. He had been maintaining the domain treasure Snow Fire World. However, it had touched another domain outside. It was an extremely cold domain. Are you Milky Way leader Luo Feng? A god energy communicated through the domain and into the Snow Fire World. It's me. You are. Luo Feng didn't recognize him. I'm Dear Bug. The god energy communicated. Dear Buglord, to be able to meet the Dear Buglord here, it's really my luck. Luo Feng immediately replied. He was shocked within. Before, he couldn't recognize the Dear Buglord from his domain. However, now he knew. The Dear Buglord was a warrior from the Purple Moon Sacred Land universe, and an absolute warrior. The Dear Buglord was an extremely ancient being. He was one of the pinnacle beings in the Purple Moon Sacred Land universe. If the universe lords were categorized according to the 6 levels, he would be a level 6 universe lord. Because he had a supreme treasure called the Deerworm Divine Armor. Luo Feng was shocked within. The Dear Buglord had always been a lone wolf. He loved to take risks. In the Universe Sea, adventurers usually died quickly. However, the Dear Buglord had the support of the Purple Moon Sacred Land universe. His own strength was extremely strong. His treasure was also a protection type. Hence, even though he had passed through many dangerous areas, he still lived until now. You also noticed the disturbance, right? Lord of the Dear Bug asked. Right. Luo Feng nodded. I'm heading there. Me too. Since we have the same destination, let's go together? The Dear Buglord said. Alright. Luo Feng was straightforward. So. A blood-red light and a gold light both flew at high speed. After flying for another 3 days. Luo Feng's gaze pierced through the star tower and looked at the distant endless black swamp. The scene was shocking. A huge ship slowly emerged from the black swamp. This ship was completely black, and there was a large amount of black liquid slowly dripping from its surface, dripping into the black swamp below. The entire ship was constantly emerging, causing the swamp region to churn. Large amounts of black liquid flowed outwards, causing the entire area to tremble. And at this time in mid-air, other than the blood-colored tower and pyramid, there was also a palace with a pointed roof. Is that the Shadow Shaman? A majestic voice resounded through the domain. Shadow Shaman? Luo Feng looked at the distant palace in mid-air, quickly confirming that it was the Shadow Cloud Lord and the Shaman Lord. Right, it's me and the Shadow Cloud Lord. I didn't expect the Deer Bug Lord to be here too. Is the Deer Bug Lord here in the Fire Ice region too? A clear voice resounded. The one beside him from the domain should be the Milky Way Lord. It's me. Luo Feng's voice resounded. The Milky Way Lord is actually together with the Deer Bug Lord. That's rare. The Shaman Lord said. We bumped into each other and our destination is the same. Naturally we came together. Luo Feng said. Aren't you happy to see us? I'm actually very happy. It's just on the way back, and I bumped into this tomb boat. Haha, it's really my fortune. The Deer Bug Lord's voice resounded. Humph! A cold snort resounded. Luo Feng couldn't care less about anything else. He was shocked as he looked at the old ship slowly emerging from the endless swamp. The entire ship seemed to exceed 10 billion kilometers. Before, just from its appearance, with Luo Feng's knowledge, he didn't recognize what it was. However, he thought that to be able to emerge from the black swamp, it had to at least be a pinnacle palace treasure. It's actually the tomb boat. Luo Feng was shocked within. Within the human race, there were many legends regarding the tomb boat. However, there was very little detailed information about it. The tomb was a legendary place within the universe boat's inner region. According to some ancient records, the tomb should be where the strong warriors of the universe boat that had fallen countless eras were buried. Of course, even though many warriors had entered before, no one had ever seen the corpses. There too were treasures left behind by the ancient beings that had fallen there. There were also ancient ruins left behind. Naturally, it was a place where the strong desired to enter. However, the tomb area, would they allow the younger generation to casually enter? Even the strongest of the universe couldn't force their way in. The tomb boat would be able to enter. This is the legendary tomb boat? Luo Feng carefully looked at the floating ancient ship. P.S. Updated here. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Qidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1244. The towering black ship continued to float upwards, causing the entire black swamp to tremble. Compared to the black ship, Luo Feng and his group seemed incomparably small. Whether in terms of size or energy, it was the same. Every universe lord present, if they didn't have treasures, the moment they fell into the swamp, they would die without a doubt. Their full-strength attacks couldn't even shake the swamp. However, this black ship easily caused a large area of the swamp to tremble. How do we steal the treasures? I've never heard of it. Luo Feng's mind flashed with many thoughts. Even though there were many legends about the tomb boat, humanity had never obtained one before. In the entire universe sea, there were close to 100 powers. Probably only the 2 sacred lands had obtained one. Naturally, they didn't know how to steal it. Life imprint? It shouldn't be, if it could. The Deer Bug Lord and the God-Eyed Clan's Shadow Cloud Lord and Shaman Lord wouldn't be so calm. Deer Bug Lord. Luo Feng suddenly communicated, this time only to the Deer Bug Lord, not letting the Shadow Cloud Lord and Shaman Lord know. Milky Way Lord. The Deer Bug Lord replied. I'm not knowledgeable. I don't know much about this tomb boat. Even though I've heard of its legends, I don't know much about it. I wonder if the dear Bug Lord can tell me about it? Luo Feng asked. Of all the warriors present, the dear Bug Lord from the Purple Moon's sacred land probably knew the most. Ha ha, why should I tell you? The dear Bug Lord asked. Luo Feng laughed, not caring. If you can't tell me, it's fine. I'll see how the dear Bug Lord, Shadow Cloud Lord and Shaman Lord act. I'll just follow you. You really want to know? The dear Bug Lord suddenly said. Of course. Luo Feng said. It's fine to tell you, I have one condition. The dear Bug Lord said. Our Purple Moon sacred land shouldn't have any other warriors in the fire-ice region. When the tomb boat is completely revealed, it probably won't take long. To summon the others would be too late. I'm the strongest. I'm afraid I'll become everyone's target. You'll temporarily listen to me, how about that? If you agree, I'll tell you the detailed information about the tomb boat. If you don't, then forget it. I agree. Luo Feng didn't hesitate. However, I'll listen to you on the outside. However, in front of treasures, don't blame me. In the face of treasures, it will naturally depend on one's strength, Lord of Deer Insect replied. All right, Luo Feng replied. He also knew why Lord of the Deer Bug was afraid of the other forces. Although Lord of the Stag Insect had a supreme treasure, it was a supreme armor. Although it was strong in defense, it did not have much of an advantage in a head-on battle. Moreover, in a fight between powerhouses, such as a battle between a Tier 5 and a Tier 4 Universe Lord, the Tier 4 Universe Lord would at most be at a disadvantage. Killing the Universe Lord would be impossible, unless it was absolute restraint. For example, the Lord of Clear Eyes' soul attack could instantly render his opponent defenseless. Such absolute suppression might have a miraculous effect. Some peak rank 5 existences could even survive a fight with the strongest experts in the universe. Not to mention, his opponent was merely a rank 6 Universe Lord. The strength that the Deer Bug Lord could unleash was only comparable to the strongest warriors of the universe in the Primal Universe. Even though he had the absolute advantage, to kill anyone here, even Luo Feng, would be extremely difficult. Since you agree, Lord of Deerbug said directly, I'll tell you the information about the tomb boat. The tomb boat was a tool used by a group of ancient beings in the universe boat countless eras ago. Of course, that ancient civilization was extremely powerful. For example, the black patterned pillars they created, the entire universe boat, none of our current universe ocean warriors can even touch them. Lord of Deerbug explained. Luo Feng agreed too. That civilization was indeed very powerful. Even from the many clues, many treasures and even the strongest treasures were all left behind by that civilization. Just from the words in the treasures being exactly the same as that civilization's words, one could deduce many things. Just like the large amounts of special items within the universe boat, the black patterned pillars, blood sea plate, tomb boat etc., they are all unable to be recognized by life imprinting methods. I don't dare speak about the black patterned pillars and blood sea plate, but the tomb boat is more like a tool, not a treasure. For example, if you hide within the tomb boat, and the warriors from the outside attack, the strong attacks, even though a portion of it will be dissipated by the tomb boat, there will still be a strong force of impact transmitted within. Meaning to say, the tomb boat won't be like the palace treasures that can almost perfectly withstand the force of impact. However, it is a natural treasure that can withstand soul attack. Due to the special material, the godly energy cannot pierce through it. Lord of Deerbug said. Its defense is only due to the special material. You want to recognize it as your owner? You have to enter the tomb boat and find its control core. Lord of Deerbug said. Control core? Luo Feng said. There are many tomb boats within the universe boat, however only one will appear every once in a while. And every tomb boat's control core is different. Lord of Deerbug said, hence, don't even think of finding out from me, because even I don't know. Luo Feng understood that the other party definitely knew some information regarding the control core. However, such a secret that involved treasures, why would he reveal it so easily? To enter the tomb boat, there's no other way but to wait for it to open the cabin door. Lord of Deerbug said, if it doesn't open itself, then no one can forcefully break it open. Then how long do we have to wait? Luo Feng asked. Very quickly, as soon as it's completely born, it'll normally open itself. Of course, there's also the possibility of a sudden delay. Lord Stag Bug sighed. In the records of my holy land, there was once a tomb ship that didn't open after it was completely born. After more than 300 eras, the most powerful expert in refining supreme treasures in the universe used a secret technique to activate the tomb ship, causing it to open on its own. Crafting treasure. Luo Feng's heart skipped a beat. To be able to craft treasures, one must have an extremely deep understanding of that civilization. Lord of Deerbug said, the treasures left behind by that civilization, other warriors might not be able to understand them, but those craftsmen could carefully study them and discover their secrets. There's another piece of information regarding the tomb boat. You should have heard of it before. One tomb boat can bring 36 warriors into the tomb. 36? Luo Feng only knew that the tomb boat could bring powerful warriors into the tomb. Only once, when one drives the tomb boat, after entering the tomb boat will leave and can no longer be controlled. Lord of Deerbug said, hence even if one obtains the tomb boat, one has to carefully consider whether or not to enter the tomb. The moment one enters the tomb boat will be gone. The tomb boat slowly appeared from the black swamp, its speed was slow, and the commotion continued. Very quickly, it attracted a palace-type treasure. It was a power from the first reincarnation era, the ancestral god sect. One reincarnation era after another, no matter which reincarnation era, there was always the ancestral god sect. In the primeval universe, the ancestral god sect was usually very strong. However, once the primeval universe was destroyed and entered the next reincarnation, these warriors of the ancestral god sect, who were forced to live in small universes, would be much weaker without the protection of the universe's origin energy. Their unity would be greatly reduced, and they would be very loose. Haha, the holy-eyed race's Lord of Shadow Dust, Lord of Voodoo? Purple Moon Sacred Lands Lord of Deerbug? The first ancestral god sect's Lord of Lugio? Human Milky Way leader? An arrogant voice resounded. This is the tomb boat? Rumble! A pale light that had just arrived immediately streaked across the sky and rushed towards the tomb boat. Luo Feng, Lord of Deerbug, Lord of Shadow Dust, and the others all sneered as they watched this happen. The pale light landed on the tomb boat and searched for a place that wasn't contaminated by the black swamp. It tried its best to imprint a life mark on it, but it was obviously unsuccessful. The bone race is just stupid. A cold sneer passed through the domain and resounded throughout time and space. We are all watching from afar, and none of us are going to recognize it as its owner. Can't you guess that it can't recognize you as its owner? And you're still fighting to recognize it as its owner as if you're courting death. What a joke. The holy-eyed race is just an idiot. The other experts didn't say anything, so why are you all grumbling? Of course, I know that this tomb boat can't recognize its owner, but we still have to try again. Who knows if different tomb boats will be different? That sharp voice naturally contained a sense of madness. And who knows if your holy-eyed race has tried to recognize me as its owner? What he said was right. The first to arrive was the holy-eyed race. They had indeed carefully studied the tomb boat that had appeared and tried to recognize it as its owner. After all, the holy-eyed race was only from the first reincarnation era. Their understanding of the tomb boat was still far from the two sacred lands cosmos. Stupid bone race, stop quibbling. The cold voice continued. Arrogant holy-eyed race. The sharp voice also sneered. The other forces present didn't make a sound. The bone race and the holy-eyed race were both peak clans in the first reincarnation era. Although the bone race was weaker than the holy-eyed race, they were natural enemies of the holy-eyed race. The talents of their clansmen were mutually restrained. In the past 3 reincarnation eras, they had never stopped fighting. To be able to maintain such strength under the suppression of the holy-eyed race, the bone race's strength could be imagined. Time passed, another half a month had passed and no new forces had arrived. Now it was the holy-eyed race, bone race, first ancestor god sect, purple moon sacred land and humans, these 5 forces. Luo Feng only knew that he was alone. As for the other forces? Everyone was in the palace treasure. As for how many strong warriors were in the palace treasure? No one knew. Maybe there were a few bone race members who seemed to be alone. Perhaps there were more than 2 experts in the holy-eyed clan. Before the battle, it was hard to say. Rumble, the tomb boat finally floated completely. The bottom of the boat left the black swamp and floated in the air. At the same time, the entire boat began to shake. The cabin door is about to open. In he move. Lord Deerbug communicated to Luo Feng. Whoosh, whoosh. Luo Feng's blood-red tower followed Lord Deerbug's pyramid and immediately flew towards the majestic tomb boat at high speed. Quick! Watch Lord Deerbug closely. He knows the most. Follow. When the other forces saw Lord Deerbug and Luo Feng rush over, they couldn't care less and immediately ignited their god powers. All of them activated the palace treasure to the extreme, and their speed quickly rose to 100 times the speed of light. They became beams of light and flew towards the tomb boat. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidian.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1245. Luo Feng, Lord Stagbug, the Holy-Eyed Race, the Bone Race, and the Ancestral God Religion, the 5 of them became 5 beams of light and flew through space towards the tomb boat. Rumble, the ancient ship floating above the black swamp, began to tremble. Following that, a door gradually appeared on one side of the wall. The door slowly rose, and the passage grew larger and larger. Over there! The cabin door of the tomb boat has opened. Hurry up and enter. The 5 beams of light changed their flight paths and rushed straight towards the passage with the door in the distance. Lord Stagbug, you are the strongest and most familiar with the tomb boat. I think you should be the last to enter. Maniacal laughter resounded, and at the same time, gray golden shadows swept toward the Lord of the Stag-Bug wantonly. In midair, the countless gray golden shadows converged and turned into a huge, unadorned machete. Lord Stag-Bug, you already have a powerful treasure. Why are you still fighting with us? A cold voice belonging to the first ancestral god religion resounded. In an instant, countless butterflies of all colors appeared in the air and flew madly towards Lord Stag-Bug. Lord Stag-Bug, the Bone Race and the Holy-Eyed Race, who had always been at odds with each other, also attacked Lord Stag-Bug. Yet none of them attacked Luo Feng. Obviously, Lord Stag-Bug was too much of a threat to them. He was the strongest and most knowledgeable about the tomb boat. If they did not work together to stop him, the tomb boat would definitely fall into Lord Stag-Bug's hands. None of the universe lords present were fools. They naturally knew what to do. The huge void cleaver, the countless drunken dream butterflies, the white whirlwind under these attacks, the pyramid that was originally flying at high speed instantly disappeared. A mutated beast appeared in midair. It had a body covered in black scales. It was huge, and its entire body seemed to be a weapon. The joints of its hundreds of claws all had sharp hooks, and its tail was similar to a scorpion's. However, its tail had close to 1,000 segments, and each segment had a strange green ring. The moment the beast appeared, Luo Feng felt his heart tremble. The only normal part of the beast was its head, which looked like a deer. Deer worm, Luo Feng thought. Lord of the Deer Bug could transform into a heaven-defying mutated beast with the help of a supreme treasure. After obtaining the supreme treasure, he changed his title to Lord of the Deer Bug, and this mutated beast was named Deer Bug. Hiss! The stag sprinted through the void at high speed. At the same time, its gentle head let out a roar that caused the void to tremble. The void trembled, and ripples visible to the naked eye appeared, spreading in all directions. The gigantic void machete, the countless drunken dream butterflies, the white whirlwinds were all destroyed by this roar. He, follow me. Deerbug flew over, and at the same time, a divine voice transmission was transmitted over. All right, Luo Feng was speechless, but his speed didn't decrease. Lu Chong is going crazy. He's using a supreme treasure as soon as he arrived. Stop him. If we can't stop him, we definitely won't be able to obtain the tomb boat. Slow him down. Milky Way Overlord, aren't you going to help stop Lord Deerworm? If we let him go in first, I'm afraid we won't get any treasures. Milky Way Overlord, let's stop Deerworm first. 2 transmissions requested Luo Feng to act. Luo Feng didn't care at all. Milky Way Overlord, don't tell me you think you can obtain the tomb boat by following Lord Deerworm? You'll regret it later. You guys really talk a lot of nonsense. Luo Feng's voice resounded. If you regret it, attack me if you have the guts. Humph. Humph. A few cold snorts could be heard. The holy-eyed race, first ancestral god religion and bone race, didn't care about Luo Feng at all. At this time, they wouldn't split a portion of their strength to deal with Luo Feng. Their greatest enemy was Lord Deerworm. The 3 of them used their domains to unleash heavy attacks, madly surrounding and attacking Lord Deerworm. One had to know that those who dared to roam the inner regions were usually rank 5 Universe Lord. Very few of them were rank 4 Universe Lords with extremely strong survival abilities. At this time, the 3 of them were attacking together. That beast Deerworm sprinted through space and let out roars. The sound waves were incredibly powerful. However, with the holy-eyed race, first ancestral god religion and bone race all unleashing their attacks, Lord Deerworm's speed obviously slowed down. So, Lord Stag Bug slowed down, and the blood-colored streak of light that was following closely behind him instantly overtook him. It was Luo Feng. Don't worry about Milky Way. He doesn't even know the layout of the tomb boat. As long as we block Lord Deerworm, there won't be any problems. Humph. Humph. Lord Deerworm didn't ask for Luo Feng's help. Instead, he broke through the attacks again and rushed towards the door. Even though the distance was far, how fast were Luo Feng and the others? A blood-red stream of light instantly rushed into the entrance of the gate. Following closely behind, Lord Deerworm, holy-eyed race, bone race and first ancestral god religion, who were fighting each other, rushed through the door almost simultaneously. It was very safe inside the tomb boat. All the powerful warriors had their pinnacle palace treasures. Those who could make it to the fire-ice region had at least 1 pinnacle palace treasure. Luo Feng, who was the first to rush in, looked around. After rushing through the door, they quickly arrived at an incomparably huge and spacious plaza. Or a large hall. In short, this huge plaza had a diameter of hundreds of millions of kilometers. There was nothing in the spacious plaza, only the extremely smooth ground. That was all. And at the edge of the plaza, there were many passageways leading in different directions. This made Luo Feng suspicious. He didn't know which direction to choose. If he chose wrongly, then he would waste a lot of time. If he wasted that time, the other powerful warriors would have found the control core and recognized him as their master. Milky Way, follow me, Lord Deerworm suddenly said. So, Lord Deerworm immediately flew into the distance. Luo Feng's eyes lit up and he followed closely. On the holy-eyed race's side, only 2 Universe Lords appeared, Lord of Shadow Dust and Lord of Voodoo Venom. Only one from the first ancestral god religion appeared, Lord Lu Jiu. Only one from the bone race appeared, Lord of Black Sea. As Lord Deerworm and Luo Feng moved, the 4 of them instinctively chased after them. Keep an eye on Lord Deerworm. He knows where to go. Keep Deerworm busy. Don't let Milky Way take advantage of him. Immediately, the 4 universe lords chasing behind immediately unleashed their attacks. Some were soul attacks, some were long-range weapon attacks, and some were domain attacks. In an instant, the 4 behind and the 2 in front exchanged blows at lightning speed. They were all advancing at high speed. This Deerworm wants me to attract some of the opponent's attacks. Luo Feng chased and looked at Deerworm ahead as he thought to himself. However, if I team up with the Holy-Eyed Race, Bone Race, and First Ancestral God Religion, I'm the weakest compared to those 3. Even if I can hold Lord Deerworm back, how can I compete with those 3 when it comes to fighting for treasures? But if I follow Deerworm and he attracts most of the firepower, maybe I can take advantage of the chaos. Luo Feng chased from behind. Everyone present had their own plans. Who? Along the internal passageway of the tomb boat, 6 silhouettes advanced at high speed. Lord Deerworm was indeed the target of everyone. His speed had obviously slowed down, and he was now shoulder to shoulder with Luo Feng. Milky Way, if I'm stopped, you'll have a huge advantage. Deerworm glanced at Luo Feng and said, I'm being attacked now too. Luo Feng was like a beast god. His movements were swift and fierce, his right claw whistling, the 4 chasing behind were powerful. However, if they were only obstructing him from afar, and they weren't going all out against Luo Feng, why would Luo Feng care? That's it. Lord Deerworm suddenly rushed forward. With a rumble, one of the horns on his head smashed into one of the walls of the revolving passageway. Rumble, the diagrams on the wall immediately caved in. Following which, a huge gate descended from the top of the passageway, rumbling as it landed on the ground. The 4 silhouettes rushed over. Seeing this huge gate, they were immediately enraged. Damn it! I've said it before. Deerworm is the most dangerous. Nether Ocean Leader, you idiot. You still split your attention to attack Milky Way? That Milky Way doesn't even know anything about this. Why would Deerworm tell him such a crucial secret? Hence, by stopping Deerworm, even if we let Milky Way go, he won't be able to find us within a short period of time. You trash from the Holy-Eyed Race only knows how to talk after the fact. Why didn't you say anything when I attacked Luo Feng earlier? Alright. Let's hurry and find another path. This is a tomb boat. There are many paths within the boat. There won't just be one path leading to one place. Let's hurry. If we're too slow, Deerworm might use some other method to close the path. The female master of the Holy-Eyed clan kicked the gate unwillingly. Rumble, the gate didn't budge. However, Deerworm Lord took 3 steps back. Let's go. Deerworm Lord turned and brought the Shadow Cloud Lord to swiftly find another path. Deerworm Lord and Luo Feng continued to fly. Deerworm Lord is indeed powerful. Respect. Luo Feng said. I've studied the 2 tomb boats before. Is it strange that I know of them? Deerworm Lord smiled and glanced at Luo Feng. At this time, he had already returned to his original appearance, a bald man. He said directly, Milky Way, I pulled you before. One was because I had one less enemy. You were the only one I could pull. 2 was to give him another opponent. However, now you're of no use. Luo Feng was shocked. Actually, he had already been very careful when the gate had closed. Because there were no external enemies, the chances of Deerworm Lord acting against him were very high. And his opponent's strength was obviously beyond his own. Relax, I've roamed the universe sea for so long. I'm not like those madmen from the first universe era. Deerworm Lord said leisurely. The tomb boat is very valuable. Just by itself, even though it's weaker than the palace treasures. It's still better than any of the pinnacle palace treasures. And you can rely on it to enter the tomb. Its value is even higher than the wonders. It's extremely close to an absolute treasure. They're crazy. However, I'm not crazy. Because in my long lifespan, the most interesting part is taking risk. The most important part is the process. As long as you work hard, failure doesn't matter. Deerworm Lord was very relaxed. Simultaneously, he became a beam of light and followed the winding path. Luo Feng didn't care about him. Failure didn't matter? Didn't care? If his race could exist forever, he too could exist forever. Then he too could be this carefree. I've guessed correctly. Ahead is the core room. The control core should be inside. Deerworm Lord glanced at Luo Feng. He communicated, let's see our strength. Who gets the control core? P.S. Updated. Suddenly thinking, tomorrow is my birthday. Haha, my mood is great. Asterisk, to be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidian. Com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1246. Alright. Luo Feng didn't waste any time, maintaining his high speed and becoming a beam of light. After a turn, there was a huge, exquisite door ahead. The entire door was gold and green. It was filled with a sense of nobility. It would only make countless living beings feel superior, their hearts trembling and not daring to enter. Luo Feng and the Deer Bug Lord's willpower was extremely firm. They pushed the door at almost the same time. Rumble. The door opened. Control room. Pushing open the door and entering was a majestic, vast, and magnificent hall. There were many ornaments placed on the floor of the hall, and there were also some ornaments hanging on the walls. Rumble. The moment Luo Feng entered, his divine body shot out a large amount of divine power threads without hesitation, madly rushing in all directions of the great hall. There was a hint of madness in his eyes. Even though I, Luo Feng, can't recognize the control core, it's very safe inside this tomb boat. There's no damage from the outside environment. Then, I can brand my life imprint on everything and instantly verify it once. I don't even need to know which is the control core, because all the items, I'll try to recognize the owner. Luo Feng looked at the distant Deer Bug Lord. The moment the Deer Bug Lord entered, he was trying to identify the control core. Suddenly seeing Luo Feng disperse so much God energy, he couldn't help but be shocked. Milky Way leader, why are you scattering so much God energy? What do you think? Luo Feng smiled. My knowledge can't compare to yours, hence I can only use such a stupid method. This is the tomb boat. You think the way to recognize the owner is just to imprint a life imprint? So simple? The Deer Bug Lord mocked. Haha, I didn't tell you before, the true method to recognize the core. Luo Feng's expression changed. Right. Even the strongest treasure's owner recognition process was very complicated. The tomb boat's core recognition process was probably a little complicated too. Do you know why I'm roping you in? Apart from the two reasons I mentioned earlier, the third reason is, those fellows from the first cycle are more knowledgeable. Perhaps some of them know how to control the core and make it recognize its owner, Lord of Deerbug said mockingly. They are my biggest enemies. Come, if you have the ability to find the control core, I won't interfere. As he spoke, the Deer Bug Lord swiftly scanned the area. As expected, he still had a trick up his sleeve. Luo Feng thought everything was within his expectations. Since it's hard to find him, then, Luo Feng quickly made his decision. Most of his attention was placed on the Deer Bug Lord, carefully observing its expressions and other things to determine his target. Lord Stag Bug had a mocking smile on his face as he leisurely searched for the control core. Soon, he had checked everything in the control room. This caused Lord Stag Bug's expression to change slightly. He carefully checked every item in the hall, and his expression changed drastically. Impossible! How could it not be? Why isn't the control core in the control room? Impossible! Lord of the Stag Bug revealed an expression of anger. It was as if all of his plans had been for naught, making him feel very uncomfortable. After all, the value of the tomb boat was already close to that of a supreme treasure. Just the fact that it was indestructible meant that it was second only to the most powerful treasures in the palace. In addition, it could enter the tomb. Even Lord of the Stag-Bug had only obtained one treasure that was better than the graveyard boat: his Stag-Bug divine armor. One tomb boat was about to be in his hands, and now it was gone. How could he not be angry? Lord of the Stag-Bug, I'm afraid you've miscalculated. Luo Feng laughed softly. The control core might not be in the control room. What do you know? Lord of the Stag-Bug snorted coldly. The control room is where the owner of the tomb boat resides. That ancient civilization has a very strict hierarchy. This control room is where the owner resides, and it's incomparably noble. Other warriors wouldn't dare barge in. You can see it from the door earlier, and the control core is always in the control room. This is the norm. Norm? And how many tomb boats have you seen? Luo Feng shook his head and laughed. Suddenly, HM? Luo Feng's expression changed slightly as he turned to look at the door behind him. Lord of the Stag-Bug also turned to look. Rumble! 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 4 beams of light rushed through the door at almost the same time. Humph! Lord of the Stag-Bug's expression changed. Ha ha, Lord of the Stag-Bug, aren't you trying to stop us? However, this is a huge ship after all. There are many passageways, and there's more than one that leads to the core room. Lord of the Sea of the Bone Race laughed mockingly. And from the looks of it, Lord of the Stag-Bug hasn't gotten the control core. Lord of the Voodoo Domain said. Hurry and find it. Lord of Shadowcloud said. Lord Lujiu didn't say a word as he swiftly began to search for the control core. Humph! Lord of the Voodoo Domain snorted coldly and suddenly waved his arm. Immediately, countless drops of golden blood sprayed in mid-air. The drops of golden blood separated and landed on every part of the hall. Holy-eyed race. No wonder you're from the holy-eyed race. You even know such a method of verification. Lord of the Voodoo Domain snorted. You think only your sacred land universe knows this? Lord of the Voodoo Domain laughed coldly. Following which, his expression changed. How could there not be? After all, the holy-eyed race was the #1 power in the 3 reincarnation eras. Compared to the 2 sacred land universes, they were extremely close. In terms of the masters of the universe, the holy-eyed race was weak. However, in terms of the strongest in the universe, the holy-eyed race was actually stronger than the 2 sacred land universes. The information gathered by the holy-eyed race in the past 3 reincarnation eras was indeed very rich, and they knew a lot. The drop of blood was one of the ways to verify the control core. Once it was verified, it could be recognized as the master. The process of recognizing the master was more complicated. No. There's no control core. Lord of Shadowcloud was shocked too. How could this be? Don't tell me Lord of the Voodoo Domain has it? Lord of the Sea of Fear's eyes burned with madness. If I had it, would I still be standing here like a fool? Lord of the Deer Bug laughed coldly. That's weird. How could there be no control core? The 6 experts spread out in the hall, and they were all confused for a moment. Rumble, a formless energy suddenly descended. Lord of the Voodoo Domain, Luo Feng, Lord of Shadowcloud, Lord of the Voodoo Domain, Lord Lujiu, the 6 of them turned at the same time to look ahead. Above the control room's hall was an ancient throne. At this moment, the formless energy gathered on the throne and gradually formed a blurry silhouette that finally became clear. It was a seemingly ordinary human man. 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth, 2 hands, 2 legs, black eyes, yellow skin, and green hair. He looks very human. He also looks like the most ordinary member of the Purple Moon Sacred Land. There's no pressure at all. Luo Feng and the others looked at the blurry silhouette in shock. The green-haired human man sitting on the throne wore a simple patterned armor. At first glance, the armor looked like an endless surging river. He looked down with a cold gaze and said, "My name is Duan Dong River Wu." This made Luo Feng and the others shocked. Wu? Wu is an extremely honorable title in the ancient civilization. To have the word Wu at the end of one's name, one's status must be extraordinary. Lord of Shadow Cloud was very serious. I know a little, but only a little. Don't say it. If the ancient civilization warriors find out, I'm afraid they'll laugh at you. Lord of the Voodoo Domain sneered at him. Humph. Lord of Shadow Cloud stared coldly at Lord of the Voodoo Domain. The green-haired man on the throne didn't seem to notice the situation below. He continued coldly, "Juniors from the endless reincarnations, when you see me, I've already fallen in countless reincarnations. Back when I followed the general on this final adventure, I knew that the chances of survival weren't high. Indeed, this path is the most difficult one. Even the most powerful ships, even the most valiant and powerful experts still failed. When I expected to fail, I didn't want my inheritance to end. I, Duandong River Wu. I'm the 192nd Duandong River. And the only inheritor. The generations of ancestors have all died in battle. In my hands, who knows how long it's been. If I were to die, the inheritance would end in my hands. I've let down my ancestors. This tomb boat has been modified by me. It's different from the normal tomb boat. Within this tomb boat, there are many more dangerous areas of inheritance. I can die. However, the inheritance of the Duandong River cannot end. If you're afraid, you can leave now. Otherwise, once you step on this path, it'll be even more dangerous. Especially at the end, when you come into contact with the true inheritance of my Duandong River, only the inheritor will survive. Otherwise, none of you will be able to receive the inheritance and all of you will die. The earlier you leave, the safer you will be. The later you leave, especially when you come into contact with a trace of the inheritance. If it's not the Duandong River, other beings that covet my inheritance will die. Make your choice, juniors. The voice dissipated, and so did the figure on the throne. For a moment, the atmosphere in the hall was oppressive. The eyes of the six present were filled with madness, excitement, worry, and many other emotions. Inheritance. The true inheritance. Why were the 7 true lord ranks of the holy-eyed race so powerful? It was because the holy-eyed race had obtained a complete inheritance in an ancient site that allowed the 7 true lord ranks to unleash unparalleled power when they joined forces. Therefore, in the cosmic sea, the most precious thing was undoubtedly this complete inheritance that could be cultivated from low to high. And the inheritance this time was the inheritance of the Duandong River? From the sound of it, this Duandong River should be one of the most powerful lineages in the ancient civilization. Every lineage only had one successor. His name had the word Wu in it, and he could even modify a tomb boat. And from his tone, he even followed the general on this journey. So the so-called general should be the general of the universe boat? His status should also be extremely high. Obviously, the inheritance of the Duandong River was extremely precious. Even if this Duandong River died, he would leave the inheritance behind. An ancient inheritance that had an endless history. There might even be ancestors that were stronger than this Duandong River. Therefore, one could not judge this inheritance based on the strength of the Duandong River Wu. Perhaps this inheritance was even more profound, but this Duandong River had not cultivated to it. No matter what, in short, the inheritance of the Duandong River was definitely the most precious inheritance. But once one stepped on this path, the outcome would be terrifying. Once one touched a trace of the inheritance, either accept the complete inheritance or die. P.S. Here's the first chapter. Today's my birthday. I've seen everyone's comment. Thank you, to be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1247. The voice of Duandong River's Wu seemed to be echoing faintly in the great hall of the control room, making the great hall even more silent. Dear Bug Lord, Lu Jiu, Shadow Cloud Lord, Shaman Puppet Lord, Scarlet Ocean Lord and Luofeng, their eyes were filled with struggle and madness. Go or not? I come from the sacred land universe. An eternal being that will never fall. If I go, there's the danger of falling. If I don't go, I'll miss out on this opportunity. Dear Bug Lord struggled. Just how strong was that ancient civilization? The Shadow Cloud Lord squinted. The one eye behind him flickered too. Obviously his emotions were fluctuating intensely. To be able to create a universe boat, like the black engraved stone pillar and the large amount of items, it's just one of the items in the universe boat. This inheritance from Duan Dongwu, even in the ancient civilization, is unique. What a noble inheritance. However, such an inheritance, one can only imagine the difficulty. Chance, the only chance, the only chance. The Scarlet Ocean Lord's eyes were filled with madness. Give me a chance. This time, Lu Jiu's perfect face was filled with hesitation. Everyone present was struggling. Luo Feng too was struggling. His entire body's god energy surged uncontrollably, causing ripples in the surroundings. This time, he thought it would be a fight for the tomb boat, but who would have thought? This tomb boat was just a bonus. The more important thing was that it contained an extremely powerful inheritance from the ancient civilization. The inheritance moved the heart. However, there was the danger of falling too. Luo Feng understood too that even though he had a clone and could use the ancient civilization's methods, since he dared to say those who covet his inheritance would die, then the punishment definitely wouldn't be as simple as dealing with a clone. Should I go? I, Luo Feng, have only trained for 10 eras. Even without this encounter, I believe with my strength, becoming a universe lord would be a piece of cake. After that, becoming the strongest in the universe, there's hope. Luo Feng thought, however, the moment I accept this inheritance, it'll be a true risk. Should I take the risk? Luo Feng hesitated. I only have a guarantee of becoming a universe lord, and I have no idea how to become the strongest in the universe. So what if I become the strongest in the universe? Luo Feng thought, to truly be eternal, I have to succeed in the reincarnation. It's a pity that over the countless eras in the cosmic sea, who has succeeded? It's only those 2 sacred lands. Luo Feng's mind thought back to the Black Token Room's independent space. He saw the information left behind on the smooth cliff wall by the previous space masters. The first, the second, the third, from the 9 Mortal Lord to 5 Chaos Lord and Luo Feng. There had been a total of 20,295 masters of the realm. No one knew how many masters there were before the Lord of Jiufan. Just from this alone, one could tell how many reincarnation eras it had gone through. In the endless reincarnation era, how many people with heaven-defying talent are there? But only 2 sacred land universes. In every reincarnation era, there are dozens of strongest experts in the universe, tens of thousands of reincarnation eras, and even longer. Just how many experts were there in the universe? Who can be eternal? Luo Feng looked up and stared at the throne in the palace. His eyes were filled with passion. This is a chance encounter. That incomparably powerful ancient civilization has an extremely powerful inheritance. According to my judgment, Duandong River Wu's position in the universe boat is at the very top. Even in the ancient civilization, this opportunity is very precious. With this inheritance, I can see further, higher than the strongest in the universe. With the guidance of this inheritance, I can walk even higher. Just as everyone in the palace was struggling with their thoughts, suddenly an energy appeared. Master Jinfeng, since you want to come out, I'll let you. What you choose is up to you. The master of Shamanchi coldly said. A golden-armored man from the divine-eyed clan appeared beside him. It was the master of the Golden Square, who had been hiding in the supreme treasure of the palace. Although he did not come out, he had clearly seen and heard everything that had happened outside. Naturally, he could no longer endure it. Rumble. Beside him, another figure appeared. It was a tall and evil figure that was completely red. It looked like it was formed from blood bones. It was the Bone Clan warrior. Scarlet Mantis, this is a matter of life and death. I won't stop you. The Scarlet Sea Master said directly. Yes. The Scarlet Mantis Master nodded. You all have helpers. The Lugio Master waved his hand. Beside him, a tall and burly man with 8 arms appeared. His body was like stone. He said in a low rumbling voice, Lugio, if you say go, I'll go. If you don't go, I won't go either. The Rock Giant Master? Wherever the Lugio Master is, the Rock Giant Master will be there. The Shaman Goo Lord sneered. Dear Bug, do you have helpers? Enhe, do you have helpers? The God-eyed race, Bone Clan, and the first ancestor god sect all had helpers. However, they were just hiding from one helper. Actually, this was normal. In the depths of the inner region, unless one was extremely confident like the deer bug, they usually moved in pairs. For example, the Scarlet Mantis Master and the Scarlet Sea Master moved together. The Shadow Dust Master and the Shaman Goo Lord moved together. The Lugio Master and the Rock Giant Master moved together. And the Jin Fong Master just happened to run into this matter. I've always moved alone in the cosmic sea. The deer bug said directly. I don't have any helpers either. Luo Feng shook his head. Haha, 3 from the God-eyed race, 2 from the Bone Clan, 2 from the first ancestor god sect, Enhe and I, a total of 9. The deer bug laughed. This choice isn't easy. However, such an opportunity is hard to come by. Even in the Purple Moon Sacred Land, I've never heard of such a mysterious inheritance. There are some ordinary inheritances, but they're probably left behind by the ordinary warriors in the universe ship. However, they obviously can't compare to this Duandong River Wu. And once those ordinary warriors die, even if they leave behind some danger, it won't be a threat to me. But this Duandong River Wu, since he dared to say such words, I'm afraid that even if he perished, the methods he left behind can deal with the strongest experts of the universe. Lord Stagbug's gaze swept across the crowd. Everyone, think carefully. Just as everyone was struggling within, on the throne in the main hall, energy gathered, forming a green-haired silhouette. It was Duandong River. Have you thought it through? Duandong River stood up and walked down, looking at the 9 silhouettes below. And Luo Feng, the deer bug lord and the others all understood, this was probably just some sort of AI left behind by Duandong River. As for Duandong River himself, he had died long ago. Rise. Duandong River pointed at the floor of the main hall and roared softly. Rumble. The main hall immediately began to rise. A huge round stone slab floated up, revealing a deep hole. That deep hole, with a glance, it was a patch of red. Occasionally there were red energy waves twisting about. If you're willing to accept the inheritance, go down. Duandong River said directly. I'll choose you according to my Duandong River's method of choosing my inheritors. As you pass the tests, you'll gradually come into contact with the inheritance. The moment you do, it'll be a life and death crisis. If you successfully accept the inheritance, you'll live. If you can't completely accept it, just a little bit, you'll die. If you're afraid now, you can leave immediately. The gate is open, it won't close. You can even invite your clansmen and friends to try. The more the better, this way there'll be a higher chance of a new Duandong River. Duandong River's gaze swept past the 9 silhouettes. Make your choice. Following that, his silhouette dissipated like dust, turning into nothingness. The round stone slab floated high up, revealing the endless red tunnel below, to enter or not to enter. I'm nearing the end of my life, yet I get such a chance. The Scarlet Flame Lord said solemnly. With the ancient civilization's methods, even though I'm in the first reincarnation era, I can still become the strongest in the universe, even passing through reincarnation. Even the ancient civilization can't break through the restrictions. Then, the moment I receive the inheritance, I can guide the strongest in the bone race universe. As long as one of them succeeds, the third sacred land universe will be born. Haha. Hua. A crimson stream of light flashed past in an arc and flew directly into the deep passageway, disappearing without a trace. This is my only chance before my death. How can I miss it? Lord Lugio smiled, becoming a beam of light and flying in two. Lugio! A low and thick voice resounded. If you go there, I'll go there. The rock giant lord followed without hesitation, becoming a beam of light and flying in two. Shadow dust. Shaman. The couple exchanged glances and laughed. Go. Go! They entered together. Ha ha. The gold square lord laughed loudly. If I'm going to die, I'll just die earlier. After a while, the first Universe Era's warriors all entered, leaving only the dear Bug Lord and Luo Feng outside. Are you going? The dear Bug Lord looked at Luo Feng. What about you? Luo Feng asked. The dear Bug Lord's gaze was distant, saying softly, So what if it's eternal? My life's passion lies in adventuring. My clan's absence doesn't affect me at all. The sacred land universe is eternal. This inheritance is hard to come by in the endless eras. If I miss it, I'll regret it. This adventure may be my biggest one, but if I go, dying in it will be worth it. Haha. I'll go first. The dear Bug Lord became a beam of light and flew in. Only Luo Feng was left in the entire palace. Even if I die, as I'm a universe knight, I still have a chance to revive. The price of reviving me may be huge, but I can afford it. Luo Feng looked at the red abyss. I originally wanted to let the golden-horned beast bring the Star Pagoda and leave, but the moment I really die, the Star Pagoda will become an ownerless object, floating within the universe ship, being sucked into some dangerous areas, or even taken away by other powers. Then I'll bring the Star Pagoda and enter it together. With it, I'll have more confidence in dealing with the many dangers. I'll bet everything on it just this once. If I succeed, my humanity will be eternal. So, Luo Feng became a beam of light and rushed into the red abyss. Looking at the red comments, Tomato was very touched. Thank you, brothers, for your support. With your support, I'll have endless power. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1248. Flying into the red waves, he felt the time and space warp, as though he was flying in a universe pathway. Hua! His eyes gleamed. Ahead was a palace shrouded in white mist. The material of the palace was the same as the pathways and cabins of the tomb boat, dark gray. At this moment there were 8 masters of the universe in the hall, including the Lord of Deerbug, the Lord of Shadow Dust, the Lord of the Dark Sea, and the Lord of Lugio. They also turned their heads to look. So, Luo Feng immediately flew over. Milky Way Lord, you've only trained for a dozen eras. It's incomparably short and you're here too. Dear Bug Lord laughed. We were just discussing whether or not Milky Way would come. If I were you, and from the primal universe, I'm still 2 more eras away from the end of my lifespan, I can still live for a long time. You've trained for such a short time and your accomplishments are already so high, there's no need for you to fight with us. Actually, you can leave now. The Master of Shadow Dust had a very kind expression on his face. Since I'm here, I won't leave. Luo Feng said indifferently. Humph. Even if you come, you'll die. Scarlet Ocean Lord stared coldly at Luo Feng. Since this junior wants to die, there's no need to care about him. Scarlet Mantis Lord said coldly. The Bone Race was a crazy and cold race. They would only unite within their own race. They were extremely hostile to outsiders. Especially towards this Luo Feng who had trained for a dozen eras and had such accomplishments. He felt a sense of jealousy. Actually, the Shadow Dust Lord, Shaman Lord, Scarlet Mantis Lord and the others who chose to come and take the risk to obtain the inheritance were actually the most hostile towards Luo Feng. They were very clear. Choosing an inheritor, one would usually focus on speed of improvement, comprehension, etc. Training for a dozen eras or close to 3 eras, there wasn't much of a difference in accomplishment. Who would Duandong he choose? Was there a need to say? They could only hope that Duandong he's technique was unable to determine how long the warriors here had lived. However, against Duandong he, they only felt that he was deep and unfathomable, hence they had no confidence and wished for Luo Feng to leave early. When Luo Feng and the other 9 were in the misty palace, mocking each other, suddenly a formless energy began to gather beside them. It was the green-haired Duandong he. All 9 are here. Duandong's gaze swept over the 9 powerhouses and he nodded. Then let the first round of elimination begin. Filter? The Deer Bug Lord, Shadow Cloud Lord, Luo Feng and the others all tensed up. No one dared to say they could pass the selection. Rise. East Duanha pointed towards the floor of the palace. The ground suddenly parted, and a strange machine began to gradually emerge from it. This was an instrument similar to a Rubik's Cube. It was dark red in color, and its surface was covered with many mysterious law runes. The mysteriousness of these runes made all the powerhouses present feel dizzy and unable to understand them. A door suddenly appeared on the Rubik's Cube. One goes in and one is selected. Duandongha said directly, only one can enter at a time. Let's begin. The 9 experts looked at each other. Who would go first? This strange and unpredictable Rubik's Cube looked quite dangerous. For a moment, none of the experts present were willing to be the first to enter. You go in. Duandongha pointed at Lord of the Deer Bug. This is just the beginning of the selection. Lord of the Deer Bug will definitely make it. Right? How would this be difficult for Lord of the Deer Bug? The other masters of the universe from the first reincarnation era instantly relaxed, and they even started to tease him. Lord Stagbug, on the other hand, smiled faintly and did not say much. He directly walked towards the Rubik's Cube, took a step, and entered it. Following which the door of the Rubik's Cube closed. The engravings on the surface of the Rubik's Cube began to light up. Rumble, a powerful energy rippled within the Rubik's Cube, causing the entire Rubik's Cube to turn from dark red to a glaring white. Just what is happening inside? Luo Feng was nervous within. Selection? Just what was being selected? Everything was unknown. Lord of the Deer Bug didn't make any sound inside. Maybe he was howling in pain, but the sound couldn't be heard. Anyway, because they couldn't enter the Rubik's Cube, everyone was anxious. After a while, the door opened. A silhouette walked out from the Rubik's Cube. It was Lord of the Deer Bug, and his expression was one of confusion. Even the other 8 didn't understand. It seemed like something had happened to Lord of the Deer Bug that entered, hence his expression. First selection, qualified. Duandong he glanced at Lord of the Deer Bug. Lord of the Deer Bug immediately revealed a look of glee. Lord of the Deer Bug, just what is inside? Lord Lugio said. Congratulations, Lord of the Deer Bug, I wonder what is inside? Lord Shaman said too. Only these 2 ladies spoke up at this time. You'll know once you enter. Lord of the Deer Bug stood aside after saying that. He had already passed this baffling selection anyway. Naturally he was leisurely standing aside. Next. Duandong he's gaze swept across the remaining 8. I'll do it. Lord of the Black Ocean's eyes gleamed fiercely. He immediately took a big step forward. Seeing a warrior take the initiative, Duandong he stood there and didn't say much, watching silently. Lord of the Black Ocean walked to the door of the Rubik's Cube. After a moment of hesitation, he stepped in. The door closed. Following which the engravings on the surface of the Rubik's Cube lit up again. Luo Feng and the others waited silently. Just what was happening inside? After a while, the door opened and Lord of the Black Ocean too walked out with a face full of confusion. Duandongha looked at the Master of the Black Sea, and there was a hint of fierceness in his eyes. He said coldly, You don't qualify. The hearts of the other experts trembled. Incompatible? No, I don't. Why? Why am I not suitable? The Master of the Dark Sea grew anxious. He could not help but say, I've only lived for 3 reincarnation eras. That Lord of the Stag insect has lived much longer than me. He is only slightly stronger than me because he has a supreme treasure. Why do I not fit the criteria? This was an opportunity for the bone race, and the Master of the Dark Sea was unwilling to give it up. Shut up! Duan Dongha shouted. Next. Duan Dongha looked at the other 7. Just now, the only one who had taken the initiative, the Master of the Dark Sea, did not meet the criteria. This made the other 7 cautious, not daring to take the initiative. You. Duan Dongha pointed at Lord Liujiu. Master Liujiu was qualified. The rock giant lord didn't fit. The Master of Shadow Cloud was a match. The Master of the Voodoo Cages was a match. The Master of the Metal Cube was in line. The Master of the Dark Sea did not fit the description. The Master of the Scarlet Centipede didn't fit. You. Duan Dongha was the last to point at Luo Feng. It was unknown if it was intentional or not. Because ever since the Master of the Dark Sea took the initiative and failed, the other warriors were all pointed at by Duan Dongha. Luo Feng held his breath and walked towards the Rubik's Cube device, stepping through the door and entering. Inside the device, there was an independent void. Luo Feng floated in space and surveyed his surroundings. There was no exit. Rumble, 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 warped engravings appeared in the space. The dazzling white engravings instantly covered the entire space. Waves of peculiar and unpredictable energy were born and permeated towards Luo Feng. Even with the Star Pagoda guarding his soul, even with the Mad Demon Destroyer armor protecting his body, it was useless. The peculiar and unpredictable energy tunneled into his body. At this moment, it was as though all of his secrets were exposed. The formless and peculiar energy continued to drill into his divine body, into every bit of his divine power, causing him to become one with Luo Feng. After a while, the twisting engravings in space began to dissipate, and only then did the peculiar energy dissipate completely. Ka! A door appeared in the space in front of him. Only then did Luo Feng step out of the door and into the hall outside. Everything that happened in the Rubik's Cube device just now still filled Luo Feng with doubt. You fit. Duan Dong he nodded and revealed a smile. Smile? That's not right. There's a problem. The expressions of the Lord of Deerworm, the Lord of Shadow Dust, the Lord of Voodoo Chi, and the others, who had passed the first round of selection, changed slightly. This was because this was the first time Duandong River's King Wu had smiled since the beginning. Based on the judgment of the various powerhouses, Duandong River was originally a very cold person. The illusion he left behind was definitely consistent with his original personality. You. Duan Dong he pointed at the Lord of the Dark Sea, the Scarlet Bear Lord, and the Giant Rock Lord. The 3 of you leave quickly. If you don't leave, only death awaits you. The Lord of the Dark Sea and the Scarlet Bear Lord glanced at each other. They were unwilling. The Bone Clan was completely annihilated just like that? The Giant Rock Lord, the Stone Special Life Form, also looked at Lord Liujiu and said in a low voice, Liujiu, the Giant Rock Lord can no longer protect you. Be careful. Lord Duandong he, can you tell us why neither of us passed? The Lord of the Dark Sea couldn't help but ask. You are not of my race and yet you want to inherit the inheritance of my Duandong he lineage? Dream on. Scram. Duandong he said coldly. Raise? Luo Feng, the Lord of the Deerworm Lord, and the others were all shocked. If one were to judge strictly, the 6 experts that passed weren't from the same race. In fact, not all of them were flesh and blood life forms. For example, Lord Liujiu was a plant life form, but she still passed. Race, the Lord of the Dark Sea and the Scarlet Bear Lord trembled. If this was the reason, then they would be in deep trouble. This meant that they had failed. Even if the other experts of the Bone Clan came, they would fail as well. Hurry up and scram. Duan Dong He's eyes shone with a cold light. Let's go. The Lord of the Dark Sea and the Scarlet Bear Lord gritted their teeth and immediately transformed into beams of light. The giant rock lord was also reluctant to bid farewell to Master Lugio, before he charged out and flew into the scarlet light. Following the crimson stream of light, time and space flowed, and the three of them quickly arrived at the control room. Humph! The Master of the Black Sea lowered his head and looked at the deep, crimson passage, gritting his teeth. If that's the reason, doesn't it mean that none of the bone race can succeed? Since that's the case, we, the bone race, will spread the news and let all the major forces know. Let a large number of experts rush over. We, the bone race, cannot succeed, and we cannot let the holy-eyed race succeed easily. After all, 3 of the 6 people inside were from the holy-eyed race. How could the bone race allow the holy-eyed race to succeed? In the hall of dense fog palace, Duan Dongha gazed at the remaining 6 and said, "Those that aren't of my race naturally don't have the qualifications to obtain the inheritance. However, this is only the simplest screening, and also the safest screening. However, there will be life and death dangers down there. If you are afraid now, you can still retreat. P.S. Tomato summons recommendation tickets, free recommendation tickets, everyone has them. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to cast recommendation tickets and monthly tickets. Your support is my greatest motivation." Chapter 1249. The Deer Bug Emperor, the 3 universe lords of the God-Eyed clan, Lu Jiu and Luo Feng, the 6 of them were all silent, none of them retreating. What a joke. Maybe they would think a lot when they made their decision, but the moment they decided, why would they retreat? Ever since they stepped on the path of the strong, the danger of death had never been far from them. They might not be willing to die, but none of them feared death. For the ancient civilization's powerful inheritance, they would rather risk it all. All right. Duan Dong, he nodded, then follow me. Duan Dong, he turned and headed towards the other side door of the Misty Palace. The door automatically opened and Duan Dong, he walked in. The Deer Bug Emperor, Luo Feng, Shadow Cloud Emperor and the others were curious about where he was going, but they all followed. Following behind Duan Dong, following the wide pathway for a while, the path ahead was completely blocked by a sluice gate. Duan Dong, he walked to the gate before stopping. In a while, the gate will open, only then will you be able to continue following this pathway. Duan Dong, his gaze swept across the 6. As long as the 6 of you are able to follow this pathway in a straight line, until you reach the next palace, you'll have passed the most basic screening and can begin to interact with the inheritance. Inheritance? Luo Feng, the Deer Bug Emperor, Shadow Cloud Emperor and the others all shuddered, their eyes gleaming. As long as they followed this pathway and reached the next palace? That would count as passing the screening and beginning to interact with the inheritance? Even though they were excited within, the 6 of them understood that Duan Dong He's inheritance was very strong, hence the screening definitely wouldn't be simple, which also meant this pathway was probably the true death pathway. There was a high chance that one of them would fall in this pathway, hence they had to give it their all. The 6 of you. In this pathway, you can use weapons, you can use any technique. Duan Dong, he said slowly, as long as you reach the next palace, it's fine. Rise. Duan Dong, he turned to look at the sluice gate and pointed. The heavy and wide sluice gate slowly rose, revealing a wide and deep pathway with no end in sight. This made the Deer Bug Emperor, Luo Feng, Lu Jiu and the others crease their eyebrows. Just what dangers lay within this death pathway? Just what method did Duan Dong, he from the ancient civilization, use to screen them? If they couldn't pass the screening, they would be in danger of dying. The first round of screening was the easiest. All they had to do was stand on the Rubik's Cube for a while. If they didn't pass, they could leave immediately. You. The 5 of you go in. Duan Dongha pointed at 5 experts. Us? Me! The 5 of us will go in together? There was an uproar. Lord Stagbug, Lord Lugio, Lord Shadowdust, Lord Wuqi, and Lord Jinfeng were all stunned. Just now, Broken East River had pointed at the 5 of them, telling them to enter together. Then what about him? The Shadow Cloud Lord couldn't help but point at Luofeng, this Milky Way leader Luofeng? The Deer Bug Lord and the other 3 started to feel uneasy. They had no way of doubting the decision to change the Duandong River. However, during the Rubik's Cube examination earlier, the Duandong River actually revealed a slight smile because of Luofeng that made them suspicious. In addition, among them Luofeng's training time was the shortest. A mere 10 eras. How short was that? The 5 of you will go in together. He will go alone, Duandong has said coldly. What, you don't want to go in? Then leave, at least you can leave alive. If you don't, the 5 of you will quickly go in. Those who don't go in will be eliminated. The Deer Bug Lord, Lu Jiu and the God-Eyed Race, the 3 Universe Lords exchanged glances and glanced at Luofeng. Go! Go! The 5 silhouettes entered the pathway simultaneously. Hua, the heavy and wide sluice gate slammed down, sealing the entire pathway once again. On this side of the gate, only Duandong River and Luofeng were left. The moment you enter, there's no chance of retreating. Duandong River glanced at Luofeng. Luofeng nodded. Within, many thoughts floated. The other 5 entering together? Entering alone? Why was it special? Did Duandong River really see him differently, or was there a special danger waiting for him? Would it be a blessing or a curse? Within the pathway, the Deer Bug Lord, Lu Jiu and the God-Eyed Race, the 3 Universe Lords looked at the sluice gate behind them, their expressions changed. The situation isn't good. The Shadow Cloud Lord's voice was sharp, his eyes gleaming fiercely. If the inheritor is chosen, he's only trained for 10 eras and he's already this high, or even 3 reincarnation eras. As long as he's not an idiot, he'll choose this Luofeng. I suspect that the strange machine from before didn't just detect his bloodline and life characteristics, it could very well have detected how long he's lived. The other 5 were shocked. Yes, no one knew what that strange machine could detect. It definitely detected something special. The Shadow Cloud Lord laughed coldly. Otherwise, why would Duandong River smile so rarely? He was obviously very satisfied with Luofeng. Why was he satisfied? From what I see, it must have detected that Luofeng has only lived for 10 eras, and his training time is very short. An absolute genius with such a short training time is unbelievable even in our 3 reincarnation eras. Even in the ancient civilization, he would be an absolute genius. Such an absolute genius inheriting his inheritance, of course he would be satisfied. Hence, he would treat him differently. Right. That's very possible. They all spoke out, even the Deer Bug Lord nodded. They all had high positions and were very clear that there was no way for them to be completely fair when choosing disciples. The moment they really liked a disciple, they would treat him differently. However, what can we do? Right now, with the 5 of us passing through the tunnel, even if we want to harm Luofeng, we can't do it. The Gold-Side Lord shook his head. I'm afraid that Duandong River thinks the same way, hence he separated us from him. Even if we have other ideas, we can't do it. Let's go. The Deer Bug Lord shook his head. Don't think about it. This is Duandong River's inheritance, we can only follow his wishes. If there's a chance, we'll deal with Luofeng. Right now there's no chance, we can only try first. This tunnel of death, we might not be able to make it through. Anything can be used in the tunnel of death. Dear Buglord, you have an absolute treasure, your chances are much higher. Humph. The Dear Buglord didn't waste any more words and flew forward. Lu Jiu too became a beam of light and flew forward. The 3 from the God-Eyed clan exchanged glances and nodded, continuing forward. The only advantage the God-Eyed clan had was, the 3 of them were of one mind. With the 3 of them working together, even if the Dear Buglord was there, they wouldn't care. On the other side of the door, Luo Feng could roughly guess that with Duandong River's actions, the other 5 universe lords had already started to target him and treat him as their enemy, treating him as the biggest threat to the inheritance. Rumble! A strong ripple came from the other side of the door, causing Luo Feng to turn and look. However, all he could see was the heavy door, following which energy ripples came one after another. Obviously a life and death crisis was occurring in the depths of the tunnel of death. Lord Duandong River, why did I separate from the 5 of them? Luo Feng suddenly asked. Duandong River stood there with his eyes closed. His entire being was like a piece of ice emitting cold air. Only after hearing Luo Feng's words did he open his eyes. Just do it, don't ask me why I'm doing this. If you're not satisfied, you can leave. If you leave now, you can still leave alive. Finishing his words, he closed his eyes again. Luo Feng could only bear with it. The bone race was the pinnacle race of the first cycle. Within the vast universe C, there were a total of 4 small universes. Within the first small universe, 4 majestic silhouettes were scattered in 4 different directions, facing each other in mid-air. They were the 4 demon lords of the bone race. This is what Ma Hai and I experienced personally. It is indeed a very terrifying inheritance, an inheritance of a super warrior from the ancient civilization called Duandong River Wu. This Duandong River Wu, according to my guess, he's probably a great existence from before the endless reincarnation when the universe ship was still intact, second only to the so-called generals. His inheritance is definitely not to be underestimated. And from the description, this Duandong River inheritance in the ancient civilization only has 1 inheritor per generation. The Scarlet Mantis Lord stood respectfully in mid-air, speaking to the 4 majestic silhouettes. Mahai. One of the majestic silhouettes spoke. Is that so? The Scarlet Mantis Lord also said respectfully, yes, that is indeed the case. However, the 2 of us were eliminated in the first round of selection because we are not of the same race, so we do not have the qualifications to receive the inheritance. Scarlet Mantis, recreate part of your memories of what you 2 experienced. The 4 high and mighty demon lords of the bone race were also very serious. This matter sounded very serious and extraordinary. Yes. The Scarlet Mantis Lord replied respectfully. Immediately, a 3D projection appeared in mid-air, playing the scene from when they charged into the tomb ship together to when the Duandong River appeared in the hall and said those words. This caused the 4 demon lords to become excited. Next was the inheritance, but that sentence from the Duandong River, you are not of the same race, and you want to inherit the inheritance of my Duandong River? Wishful thinking, Graham. This caused the hearts of the 4 demon lords to turn cold. Damn it. Such an opportunity, and there are actually 3 of them from the holy-eyed race. None of us can enter. Damn it. The 4 demon lords also let out angry roars. They were obviously very angry. Spread this news to the 3 great reincarnation ages, the 2 sacred lands of the cosmos, all of them. A hoarse voice roared. Let the entire cosmos see know, let all the experts rush over. We must be in chaos, let the tomb ship fall into chaos, and even destroy the inheritance of the Duandong River. In short, only with chaos will our bone race have a chance. Even if there is no chance, we can destroy the holy-eyed race's chance. The hatred between the holy-eyed race and bone race is endless. We cannot let them take advantage of us like this. Spread it. The other 3 demon lords also roared angrily. All of them were extremely angry, and without hesitation, they immediately began to spread this news to all the powers in the Cosmos Sea. Deep within the inner region of the universe ship, the ice-fire region inside the tomb ship, Luo Feng stood at the side of the door, constantly feeling the waves of energy coming from the depths, but he had no idea what was happening inside. HM? Duandong River suddenly opened his eyes and said softly, 1 dead, there are still 4 left. Luo Feng was shocked, and could not help but look at the Duandong River. One dead? To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1250. The 5 universe lords inside were all extremely strong. The 3 from the Holly clan were of one mind, the deer bug leader had a powerful treasure on him, and the Lujiu leader was a plant life form that was the hardest to kill. Luo Feng looked at Duandong He. He was still standing there with his eyes closed, causing Luo Feng to give up on asking. It would be a waste of time. Another one has died. Duandong He suddenly said, there's still 3 left. Luo Feng's heart trembled. This life and death corridor was too dangerous. How powerful were the universe lords that dared to enter the depths of the inner region? Even the strongest of the universe wouldn't be able to kill them so quickly. In the blink of an eye, 2 had fallen. The deer bug leader is the strongest, the 3 from the Holly clan are of one mind, the Lujiu leader is also a level 5 universe lord and a plant life form. Compared to these 3, I'm actually the weakest. Right now 2 of them are already dead. If I go in? Luo Feng frowned, he began to worry within. In the realm of fire ice, at the door of the grave boat, the Lord of the Frightful Sea, the Lord of the Scarlet Bear, and the Lord of the Rock Giant stood at the entrance of the cabin. The Lord of the Frightful Sea and the Lord of the Scarlet Bear had sent their avatars to report, and the Lord of the Rock Giant had sent his avatar to report to his forces. No, the Rock Giant leader's huge body trembled. Lu Jiu, the Rock Giant leader suddenly howled. That crazy howl was filled with pain. Pung! He knelt down heavily, his knees smashing into the thick floor of the tomb boat. Both his hands grabbed the sides of the floor, letting out unwilling howls, weird howls, some resounding, some shrill, some hysterical. It caused the Rock Giant leader's body to tremble and distort. The Lord of the Dark Sea and the Lord of the Crimson Bear were shocked. They looked at the hysterical Lord of the Rock Giant and exchanged a glance. Looks like Lujiu leader has fallen. He probably has fallen. It's said that wherever there's Lujiu, there's also the Rock Giant leader. The Rock Giant leader has been following Lujiu for countless years, close to 3 reincarnations. Looks like his feelings for her are indeed deep. The moment Lord Lujiu fell, the giant rock lord went crazy. On the other hand, the other 2 were rejoicing in their misfortune. They couldn't accept the inheritance, but so what if they did? He still died in the end. Ah! The Rock Giant Lord let out a frenzied roar. It waved its 8 arms and punched the ground heavily. Pung 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 pung. The heavy impact caused the ground to tremble slightly. However, the floor of the tomb boat was extremely sturdy. Even the strongest experts in the universe couldn't damage it, let alone the fist of the Rock Giant Lord. The crazy heavy punches caused the surface of the 8 fists to begin to crack. Inheritance. Despicable inheritance. It's all because of this despicable inheritance that I'll kill you. Revenge, revenge, revenge. The Rock Giant Lord howled in pain. I want to destroy this inheritance, I want to destroy it, kill the inheritor, kill it. East River, it's all you, it's you, it's you. I want your inheritance to end, to avenge Liujiu. Following that, the Rock Giant Lord turned around abruptly and rushed towards the tomb boat's control room. Crazy. Rock life form, his head can't even think straight. He's starting to go crazy. The Howling Ocean Lord and Scarlet Mantis Lord laughed coldly as they watched. After a while, the Rock Giant Lord's huge silhouette walked back. I can't get through. The Rock Giant Lord shook his head, his eyes filled with sorrow and pain. I said before, I'll always follow you, my time is almost up, yet you've fallen before me. Liujiu, the Rock Giant Lord slumped down in the corner of the cabin entrance. His entire body slumped there, leaning against the wall, not making a sound. The Howling Ocean Lord and Scarlet Mantis Lord were filled with fear. They walked further away into the large hall of the plaza, not daring to get close to the rock giant lord. Outside the door of the corridor, Luo Feng stood there quietly, feeling the energy ripples. Suddenly, the energy ripples stopped. Chem? Luo Feng's heart tightened. Duandong, he who had his eyes closed all this while opened them and nodded. Not bad, only 2 died. After which he turned to look at Luo Feng. You, go in. Following his voice, the huge and thick gate that had been closed rumbled and rose once again, revealing a dark corridor. There was not a single silhouette at the end of the corridor. This made Luo Feng even more fearful. 2 of the 5 that moved together had died. Would it be a blessing or a curse for him to move alone? Either give up or advance. Duandong, he glanced at Luo Feng. Luo Feng glanced at Duandong, he and flew in without hesitation. Rumble. Behind him, the huge door slammed shut. It was already closed. There's no more chance to retreat. Luo Feng glanced at the door behind him and looked up at the dark corridor. I want to see just what's in this life and death corridor to actually make 2 of the 5 fall. So, he became a beam of light and swiftly advanced. The corridor was deep, occasionally narrowing and occasionally widening. After flying for a while, it got darker and darker within the dark and hazy corridor. With Luo Feng's vision, he could see everything clearly. Luo Feng creased his eyebrows, suddenly stopping and floating in mid-air. Not too far away lay a tall silhouette. He had a human-like body, large amounts of fur grew from his head and neck, almost like a lion, his neck thick and strong. His eyes were slightly closed. The surface of his body was covered in a layer of black armor. When Luo Feng appeared, that tall silhouette suddenly sat up and opened his eyes. His eyes gleamed with a red light as he stared at Luo Feng. What you have to do is to survive under Kuei Luo's hands. A cold voice resounded in his ears. Luo Feng immediately recognized that it was Duandong He's voice. Don't hide in the palaces or other treasures. That will only mean you've been eliminated and you have to fight. Other than hiding in the palaces or treasures, you can use any other weapon. 2 of the 5 from before have fallen under Kuei Luo's hands. I hope you can survive. Rumble. That tall silhouette fiercely stood up. His body was over 100 kilometers tall. His cold eyes emitted an endless killing aura. This corridor was about 6,000 kilometers wide. It was enough for battle. I have to fight? Luo Feng slowly descended, looking at the mysterious being called Kuei Luo. Duandong, he calls it Kuei Luo? For it to be able to survive for countless eras until now, it shouldn't be a life form. How'll die? The monster Kuei Luo roared and rushed over. Shwa. It became a beam of light and arrived before Luo Feng. And Luo Feng followed closely behind. This monster Kuei Luo left behind by Duandong, he was actually able to kill 2 universe lords. Luo Feng naturally didn't dare be careless. The moment he arrived, he went all out, immediately entering the beast god heart state and rushing forward. Simultaneously his strongest right hand became a huge 5 golden blade and wave. Almost like 5 blades slashing at the same time. Crazy Demon Destroyer Armor's 3rd level. Destroyer. Ping, the monster Kuei Luo's head was slashed viciously. Its entire body was like a sandbag as it spun and flew backwards, landing heavily on the ground, causing the entire corridor to tremble. The shocked Luo Feng didn't immediately follow up with another attack. What? This? Luo Feng was stunned. This is the level of power that can kill 2 universe lords? What a joke, those 5 were all extraordinary. To kill 2 of them, one had to at least have the strength of the universe's strongest warrior. And he was only level 4, hence the moment he arrived, Luo Feng had already made his plans. The moment he arrived, he used his ultimate move. And following the clash's force, he borrowed the force to immediately retreat. Using the first move to determine the opponent's strength, he could make a detailed plan. However, the truth was, against his own claw, the monster Kuei Luo was immediately trampled. It had no strength to resist. Luo Feng, who was about to borrow the force to retreat, could only freeze in mid-air. What's going on? Why is it so weak? Receiving my claw earlier, the strength it displayed, I'm afraid even a universe lord can trample it. Luo Feng was suspicious, after which he didn't hesitate and rushed towards Kuei Luo. The monster Kuei Luo roared and stood up, once again roaring, "Die, die, die!" Pung! The lightning-fast claw was terrifyingly fast. The monster Kuei Luo couldn't block it at all. It was immediately clawed at the neck, causing the monster Kuei Luo's entire body to rumble as it was smashed face first into the ground. What's going on? Luo Feng's two legs, infused with the strongest gold-splitting technique, became two glaring golden glows, continuously kicking the back of the monster Kuei Luo's head, causing its face to once again kiss the ground twice, emitting rumbling sounds. Howl! The monster Kuei Luo's thick hands grabbed the ground, immediately flipping and standing up. Luo Feng watched from mid-air, frowning. Its body is quite strong. My attacks actually didn't leave a single mark on it, however, its strength is too weak. Even though he didn't understand why, but since the opponent was weak, then he would ruthlessly trample on it. Luo Feng became a beam of light and immediately arrived beside the monster Kuei Luo. The monster Kuei Luo roared and waved its fists, however it was immediately grabbed by Luo Feng and smashed into the ground. Pung! 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 The continuous trampling caused the monster Kuei Luo to sometimes lie on the ground, and sometimes get kicked into the corridor wall, after which the hair on its head was grabbed by Luo Feng and smashed into the wall above. In an instant, Luo Feng was as fast as lightning, repeatedly trampling on the monster Kuei Luo. Even though he was trampling on it, Luo Feng remained vigilant at all times, preparing himself for the possibility of the monster exploding at any time. Its strength is rising. Obviously rising. Luo Feng gradually felt something amiss as he trampled on it. He felt the monster Kuei Luo's display of strength, from the high-level knight level constantly rising, level 2 Universe Lord, level 3 Universe Lord, level 4 Universe Lord. Its strength continued to rise as time went by. Luo Feng, who was initially very happy and relaxed from trampling on it, found it harder and harder. Especially at this time, when the monster Kuei Luo reached the level 5 Universe Lord level, Luo Feng and the monster Kuei Luo were evenly matched. However, the monster Kuei Luo's strength was still rising. Pung! Luo Feng tumbled and smashed into the corridor wall, immediately vanishing. Rumble! The monster Kuei Luo's terrifying leg smashed into the wall. It's already level 5. Luo Feng was extremely haggard. If it continues to rise, wouldn't it be level 6, the strongest warrior in the universe? To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidian.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1251. The monster Kilo didn't know any techniques. It completely relied on its speed and strength to attack. As the saying goes, using strength to break through. When one's strength reaches a certain level, even the laws would have to retreat. The monster Kilo already had such a feeling. Its fist caused the frozen space to warp, becoming a glaring beam of light. Even the slightest ripple from the fist could easily destroy the entire solar system. Pung! A huge golden claw slapped the fist from the side. A terrifying force exploded. It's even stronger. Luo Feng followed the force and immediately flipped, only stumbling a little, almost like a phantom. He crashed into the wall of the corridor. The force of the impact was immediately absorbed into the wall. Rumble! A glaring heavy kick landed on Luo Feng's chest, sending him back to the wall. The strong force of the kick caused his entire body to tremble. Luo Feng gritted his teeth and dodged, dodging far away. Simultaneously the golden horned beast's god energy immediately entered his body, allowing his earth body to recover to its peak condition. This monster Kilo, his strength is rising too quickly. It's probably close to level 6. Luo Feng felt his head hurt, even with the Mad Demon Destroyer armor. He was only at the pinnacle of level 4, against a normal level 5 Universe Lord, he could still fight, at most he would be at a disadvantage. However, right now, the monster Kilo was even more terrifying than the Lord of 5 Turbid. He was completely being trampled on. In such a short period of time, it's already used up 8% of my god body. I can't let this go on. Luo Feng looked at the monster Kilo that turned and roared. With a flash it arrived before him with unbelievable speed, immediately roaring. Shua, the glaring silver-white wings suddenly appeared on his back, simultaneously a strong god energy activated, a blurry and thin golden light emanated, immediately covering an area of close to 1 million kilometers. An incomparably strong binding force immediately acted on the monster Kilo, causing its speed to decrease. Luo Feng's 4 wings flapped, retreating rapidly. Broken East River only said not to use palace treasures. Luo Feng's silver wings expanded, feeling excited within. Wu sure, it's been a long time since we've fought together. Howl, the monster Kilo seemed to be very angry, letting out a sky-shaking roar. One roar caused the space to tremble and warp, forming a visible shockwave that swept towards Luo Feng. In the distance, Luo Feng didn't move at all, allowing the shockwaves to crash into his body and dissipate. Boom! The monster, Quillo, burst forth with speed and attacked once more. I have the Wu slaying wings in my hands. I am not someone to be trifled with. Luo Feng's silver wings flapped, and his figure immediately became unpredictable. He flashed through many afterimages as he madly engaged in close combat with that monster, Quillo. With the support of the Golden Country, Luo Feng's strongest technique, God Slayer, could completely reach the higher level of the 5th level. Even if he were to clash head-on with Kailo, the difference wouldn't be too big. For a time, the two of them fought in close combat again. The monster, Quello, was rampaging. Luo Feng's afterimages were everywhere. Pung! Luo Feng's entire body tumbled and flew away, his 4 wings closing and covering his entire body. Its strength is still increasing. Top 6th tier? Or the strongest in the universe? Luo Feng couldn't judge for a while. He felt that even the Golden Country's effect on that monster, Kailo, was getting weaker and weaker. Quilo's punches and kicks were already starting to make Luo Feng's heart tremble. Ravage. Even with the Golden Country's restriction, Quilo's explosive speed still far exceeded Luo Feng's. Luo Feng didn't even have time to dodge before another punch landed on his chest. Quilo's attack power made Luo Feng's heart tremble. Every time, he had to use the Wu slaying wings to cover his body to block its punches and kick. Pung! 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 There was no way to block it. He couldn't even escape. He couldn't even block it. Luo Feng had completely become a sandbag, being ravaged by that monster. The Golden Country's restriction was like a layer of air. To the monster, it was negligible. His strength has definitely risen to the strongest level in the universe, and the strongest in the universe have to rely on treasures to unleash such power, yet he's relying on his body. Luo Feng completely wrapped his silver wings around his body, bitterly enduring time and time again. If this goes on, I'm afraid I'll be beaten to death. Don't tell me I have to enter the Star Tower? The Star Tower can definitely easily block its attacks, but the moment I enter it, I'll be eliminated. Endure. 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 While Luo Feng was being ravaged to the point of unbearable pain, he was completely like a sandbag that was being kicked, and smashed. The monster, Kailo, suddenly calmed down, causing Luo Feng, who was kicked away to crash into the wall, to immediately push himself up with his hands, floating in mid-air, looking suspiciously at the monster. Why did you stop? Rumble. The monster sat down on his butt, before lying down and closing his eyes. You've passed, continue forward. A cold voice resounded in his ears. It was the voice of the Duandong River. Luo Feng let out a sigh of relief. He'd finally made it through. With lingering fear, he looked at the unmoving monster Kailo, before swiftly flying forward. The passage was sometimes wide and sometimes narrow. After a while, he saw a sluice gate. As Luo Feng flew closer, the gate had already opened. Luo Feng looked at the three silhouettes on the other side of the gate. You actually made it out alive. The Shaman Lord was shocked. Milky Way leader, you alone, you actually managed to escape from that monster alive. The Shadow Cloud Lord laughed coldly. Respect. The Deer Bug Lord, however, revealed a smile. Luo Feng looked at the three before him. The three that survived were the three of them. Looks like the ones that died were the Gold Square Lord and Lu Jia Lord. He didn't expect even the plant life form Lu Jia Lord to fall. The five of you moved together. How did two of you die? Luo Feng was shocked. That monster wasn't that powerful. The Shadow Cloud Lord laughed coldly. Of course the one you met wasn't that powerful. If you met the same one as us, you would have died without a doubt. What did you guys meet? Luo Feng couldn't help but ask. Beside, the Deer Bug Lord said, the monster Kuei Luo we met was still alright at the start. It only had the strength of a level 4 Universe Lord. However, as the battle went on, its strength continued to rise, very quickly becoming stronger than any of us. It reached the strongest level of the universe, and it's still rising. I'm afraid it's even more terrifying than any of the strongest I've ever met. One punch from him was enough to damage our bodies. Lu Jia Lord's dodging ability wasn't enough. He was immediately destroyed. He didn't even have time to retrieve his palace treasure to save his life. The Gold Square Lord and Shadow Shaman worked together. It's a pity their coordination wasn't good enough. They were destroyed too. The Deer Bug Lord sighed. Luckily that crazy state only lasted for a moment. If it went on, the two of them would have died without a doubt. Humph! Shadow Cloud and Shaman snorted coldly. Luo Feng was shocked within. Not right. The monster Kuei Luo they met was stronger than them, and it seemed like the monster they met was at the level 4 Universe Lord level. And the monster Kuei Luo he met was only at the level of a high-level knight. In the end, it only reached the strongest level of the universe and ended quickly. There's only the four of you left. A silhouette formed beside it was Duan Dong He. The Deer Bug Lord, Luo Feng, Shadow Cloud Lord and Shaman Lord all looked over. Duan Dong He coldly said, this is just a small test of your strength, and two of you have already fallen. This is only the beginning of the corridor. You must reach the end of the corridor and reach the next hall. Only then will you be able to touch the inheritance. Continue forward. Duan Dong He pointed ahead. This corridor was incomparably deep and serene. Luo Feng, the Deer Bug Lord and the Shadow Shaman couple were shocked within. This was only the beginning? Let's go. The four of them could only nervously continue flying forward. However, their flying speed was obviously much slower than before. Luo Feng suddenly frowned. Virtual Universe, Huge Axe Shrine. The moment Luo Feng appeared, he saw the stone table before the shrine with Universe Lords sitting on both sides. Luo Feng. Huge Axe looked over. Luo Feng. The Primal Chaos City Lord also spoke. We just received news regarding Duan Dong He's inheritance. This news was sent to us by the Bone Race during the first cycle. They also said that you are one of the 6 people currently exploring Duan Dong He's inheritance? What's going on with Duan Dong He's inheritance? Huge Axe Creator asked. The other human warriors all looked at Luo Feng, obviously filled with anticipation and anxiety. Even though they received some news from the Bone Race, they obviously didn't know much. Or maybe they didn't make it 100% public. You'll know once you see it. Luo Feng pointed to mid-air, completely projecting the memories he had experienced, from when they flew into the tomb boat, to when they saw Duan Dong He in the control room of the tomb boat. The Rubik's Cube device. The Monster Kilo's battle, everything was played once. Of course the scene where he used the Wu slaying wings was deleted before it was played. Immediately, the seated human race's highest-level warriors were silent. Luo Feng nodded. This is the situation, Duan Dong He's inheritance. this ancient civilization's powerful inheritance, is an opportunity, but also extremely dangerous. It's destined that there's only one inheritor. Even the few of us have all failed. This is just the beginning, and there's only 4 left. This is our human race's chance. I should explore it. Luo Feng looked at Huge Axe and the Primal Chaos City Lord. Huge Axe and the Primal Chaos City Lord nodded. Yes. If there was anyone present who was most suited to explore, Huge Axe and the Primal Chaos City Lord were very clear. It was Luo Feng. Because Luo Feng was a Universe Knight, even if he died, he could revive. Even though he would lose his treasures if he died, his origin laws, techniques, willpower etc. would still be there. His strength would quickly recover. Luo Feng, continue to accept the inheritance, don't be distracted by us. Huge Axe ordered, if we humans have any arrangements, we'll inform you later. Yes. Luo Feng nodded, after which he vanished under the watchful eyes of many warriors. And at this time, the news also caused a huge uproar in the Purple Moon Sacred Land Universe, East Emperor Sacred Land Universe, and the close to 100 powers of the 3 great rebirth eras. This storm was destined to become more and more intense. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Qidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1252. In the vast universe C, there were only 2 sacred land universes that could surpass the reincarnation cycle, Purple Moon Sacred Land Universe and East Emperor Sacred Land Universe. In terms of history, strength, depth of resources, naturally it was the East Emperor Sacred Land Universe that had existed for a very long time. East Emperor Sacred Land Universe, within it was the Endless God World. The Endless God World gathered 90% of the Undyings, 99% of the Universe Knights, all the Universe Lords, the strongest warriors of the universe. The entire Endless God World was beautiful, peaceful and peaceful. There were all sorts of civilizations and buildings, all sorts of rare plants and flowers could be seen everywhere. Quang, Wu, Shu, Shu, Shu. In the center of the Endless God World, there was a majestic green tree that pierced through the entire God world, constantly emitting sounds that spread in all directions. The tree was ancient and verdant, towering straight into the sky. It was surrounded by a large number of vines that looked like they were carved from jade. As the wind blew, the vines swayed slightly, emitting a sound that intoxicated the soul. There were many people sitting cross-legged under the ancient tree. At a glance, there was no end to them. It was a sea of people. Rumble! The entire tree suddenly shook, emitting a dazzling green light. Rumble! Following which it transformed into endless red light. Rumble! The majestic tree once again emitted endless black light. Rumble! Then it transformed into endless blue light. Rumble! Finally, there was a dazzling gold light. Following which the entire ancient tree began to revolve around it, 5 layers of light, dazzling and resplendent. In an instant the entire God world could see it. Primogenitor Tree. The primogenitor tree is glowing 5 colors. The primogenitor is about to appear. The primogenitor is about to appear. Primogenitor. The countless god spirits, undyings, universe knights and even universe lords who were sitting cross-legged under the ancient tree, when they saw the 5 colored rings of light from the primogenitor tree and the large amounts of energy flow around it, they couldn't help but be shocked and excited. Some undyings even started crying out loud, some kneeling down and trembling in excitement. Primogenitor, East Emperor Sacred Land Universe. It had existed for a very long time. The primogenitor East Emperor was an unparalleled being in the hearts of the entire Sacred Land universe. Yet over the countless years, the primogenitor East Emperor seemed to not exist, rarely appearing. Even many universe lords who had lived through many reincarnations never personally saw the primogenitor East Emperor. There was no need to even mention the cosmic sea outside. In the cosmic sea outside, No expert had ever seen the two sacred grounds universe primogenitors. That was why the progenitor was known as the strongest person in the cosmic sea. However, compared to the two sacred lands universe primogenitors, who had long since transcended reincarnation, the progenitors were naturally inferior. But no one had ever seen him before. Even within the cosmos of the two sacred lands, meeting their primogenitor was incomparably difficult. As for the ancient East deity, he rarely appeared. Every time he did, the primogenitor tree would shine with five-colored light. The primogenitor is about to appear. Progenitor. The masters of the universe in their respective palaces were all shocked and excited. It's been 82 reincarnations since I was born, and I've never seen the primogenitor. The primogenitor has finally appeared. One of the lords of the universe was so excited that he didn't even care about his disciples and teleported towards the primogenitor tree. The last time I saw the primogenitor was 119 reincarnations ago. Primogenitor has appeared. Madness. The entire endless God world sank into a state of madness. As the living beings of the most ancient sacred grounds of the universe, they had a pride that was ingrained in their bones. They even faintly looked down on the purple moon's sacred lands. And from the size of the sacred lands cosmos, one could see that their East deity primogenitor was probably even stronger than the purple moon primogenitor. They were absolutely proud, and at the same time, they worshipped the East deity primogenitor. Beams of light appeared, gathering under the primogenitor tree. Experts floated in the air. Those who dared to do so were the masters of the universe or the strongest experts in the universe. At a glance, one could see that there were close to 1,000 experts in the air, scattered around the primogenitor tree. They were all incomparably respectful, silently waiting for their supreme primogenitor. Quang, Wu, Shu, Zai. That inexplicable sound suddenly rang out. Every expert present was intoxicated by this sound, including the few strongest experts in the universe. Amidst the strange music, an incomparably dazzling figure appeared out of nowhere in the sky. He wore a robe with countless green branches and leaves, emitting a boundless hazy green light. The green light contained a dense vitality. Under the cover of the endless green light, the hundreds of millions of experts kneeling and waiting below felt incomparably comfortable. Even those who were injured or had their divine bodies damaged instantly recovered. All living beings, be it the undying or the strongest of the universe, woke up at the same time, and respectfully called out in unison, "Primogenitor." Silence. All living beings looked passionately at the East deity primogenitor. East deity looked down, his entire body seemed blurry under the endless green light. Even the strongest of the universe and the hundreds of masters of the universe felt an invisible pressure. I heard that within the universe boat of the three great forbidden grounds of the Cosmos Sea, there is an inheritance called the Broken East River Wu inheritance. Is there one? East deity said slowly. Yes. The hundreds of masters of the universe and the strongest of the universe said in unison. They had just received the news, but nothing that happened within the sacred land universe could be hidden from East deity. The inheritance of Duandong River's Wu Kingdom is also a top-notch inheritance in that powerful ancient civilization. I order, North True Star Lord, you will personally escort 20 masters of the universe, 200 masters of the universe, and 2,000 undying to the universe boat as fast as possible, and send them on a journey to obtain the inheritance. East deity ordered. Yes. A white-robed man walked up and said respectfully, North True Star Lord, an ancient being, as the strongest in the universe, naturally, he had become the strongest in the primal universe era. He was from the same era as the East deity primogenitor. It was just that his small universe had long since decayed, and he could only live on the sacred land universe. Are there any volunteers? East deity looked down. Only one can accept the inheritance, the others will be in danger. I'm willing. I'm willing. I'm willing. Almost instantly, the large amounts of masters and undying below all shouted out. There weren't many masters of the universe in mid-air, and those who volunteered numbered in the tens. Let the elders discuss and decide on the list. East deity looked down and said slowly, "We must decide on it as fast as possible and head to the universe boat. 20 masters of the universe, 200 masters of the universe, and 2,000 undying will try together. That broken East River inheritance, our East deity universe must obtain it. I need it." Yes. Everyone spoke in unison, their voices filled with excitement. East deity needed it? This made the countless experts below even more fervent. In the time it took to drink a cup of tea, North True Star Lord sat on a glaring black ball, traveling at high speed in the Universe Sea. I haven't entered the Universe Sea for more than 10 reincarnation eras. Since I've appeared, I will definitely let our East Deity universe obtain this inheritance. On the same day, when the news reached the Purple Moon Sanctuary Cosmos, the equally mysterious ancestor Purple Moon finally appeared and issued an order to obtain the inheritance of Duandong River. Yes, primogenitor. This inheritance will definitely belong to our Purple Moon sacred lands. The dear Bug Lord is already there. We have the greatest advantage. Let's go! Following the primogenitor's orders, 1,500 undying, 150 masters of the universe and 15 universe lords will all rush over. The strongest of the universe will naturally be fast. The god-eyed race, whose strength was close to the 2 sacred lands, was even crazier. The 7 true Lord clones gathered together. This is our only chance. Our time is up. We must obtain this inheritance. The complete inheritance we obtained back then compared to Broken East River is obviously much weaker. Moreover, based on the reports of Ing Ai, Wu Qi, and the others, the abilities that Duandongha is capable of utilizing after perishing for countless years are already so terrifying, and we're able to discern a thing or two. I suspect that not only the universe lords can accept the inheritance, maybe even the universe sovereigns and the strongest of the universe can accept it. The 7 true Lord clones gathered in the air and discussed. I'm willing to go. Even if I meet danger, I have the palace and the strongest of the universe. He's also the strongest in the universe. I don't believe that Duandong he left behind a technique that can kill me. The 7th true Lord said. I'll go with old 7. The 1st true Lord nodded. 1st true Lord. Teacher. 1st true Lord, how can you go? Even if you fail this time, the reincarnation journey will depend on you. God-Eye, don't be rash. Instantly there was an uproar. The 1st true Lord was the strongest in the entire God-Eyed race. If he took the risk and died, it wouldn't be good. In terms of strength, I'm weaker than the ancestor. Even compared to the creator of Hugh Jacks, I'm probably on par. The 1st true Lord sighed, but in the reincarnation journey, only the universe primogenitor of the 2 sacred lands succeeded. I can't even surpass the ancestor and Hugh Jack. It's too difficult to succeed. This might be the last chance of the God-Eyed race. No matter what, God-Eye, you can't be rash. Old 7 and I will go. Just send more universe lords and universe sovereigns will do. Alright, old 2, old 7, I'll depend on you this time. Very quickly, everything was arranged. The God-Eyed race sent the 2nd true Lord and the 7th true Lord to lead 20 universe lords and 100 universe sovereigns to the universe boat. To the God-Eyed race, this was already going all out. The various forces were indeed going crazy, especially in the 1st reincarnation era. They were already at the end of their lifespan, so they naturally went crazy. The 2nd reincarnation era and the primeval universe were also envious. As the saying goes, if one doesn't worry about the future, there would be immediate worries. If they missed this opportunity, the Broken East River's inheritance might not appear again in the next few reincarnation eras. If the various forces knew that the universe primogenitor of the two sacred lands had appeared and given the order, the close to 100 forces from the three reincarnation eras would probably be even crazier. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1253. The outside world was in a frenzy, however the tomb boat's life and death pathway was silent. Dear Buglord, Luo Feng, the Shadow Dust Lord and the Shaman Puppet Lord flew in the pathway. Their speed was slower and more careful. And when Luo Feng received the news from the clan, the Dear Buglord, the Shadow Dust Lord and the Shaman Puppet Lord received the news earlier. They knew of the importance of the clan. The Purple Moon Ancestor personally appeared, personally speaking with the Dear Buglord. What kind of honor was that? At this time, the Dear Buglord was simply the biggest hero of the Purple Moon Sacred Land universe. The 7 True Lords even solemnly requested the Shadow Dust Lord and Shaman Puppet Lord to give it their all, after which the 2nd and 7th True Lords would lead many Universe Lords over. Fight! Fight for a chance of survival. The Shadow Shaman couple went mad. The Purple Moon Ancestor actually appeared personally. This is probably the most glorious moment of my life. I will definitely give it my all. The Dear Buglord went mad too. Our human race is weak, our warriors are limited, we can't compete with them in numbers. Then let's see Luo Feng's ability. Luo Feng too was filled with pride. The 4 flew, occasionally their gazes would meet, filled with fighting spirit. As they flew forward, the pathway got wider and brighter. Gradually, the 2 sides of the pathway began to appear stone pillars. Every pillar had a cube, pyramid or polygonal silhouette. Basically every pillar had a silhouette on it. The pillars on the left all had their silhouettes condensed, containing over 10,000 different ripples. The pillars on the right had their silhouettes loosened, barely forming a skeleton. The left had a total of 123 pillars. The right had a total of 10,080 pillars. This is? As they flew, Luo Feng, the Dear Buglord, the Shadow Dust Lord and the Shaman Lord all had suspicious looks on their faces as they flew slowly. At the same time, they carefully observed the 3D silhouettes on the pillars. These silhouettes were all incomparably huge and contained huge amounts of energy ripples. Furthermore, the 3D shadows on the top of the 123 stone pillars on the left and the 3D shadows on the top of the 123 stone pillars on the right were exactly the same. The silhouettes on the left were complete, like the Great Wall of China. The silhouettes on the right were just skeletons, almost like the bricks of the Great Wall had been removed, shaking and crumbling. There's only 123 on the left, but so many on the right. Luo Feng thought to himself as he flew. Each 3D phantom had a large number of different colors and emitted thousands of rays of light. For a time, the entire corridor was magnificent, like a fairyland. Luo Feng and the other 3 continued forward, quickly reaching the end. It was the right side of the 10080 stone pillar. The light condensed into a human silhouette. It was Duandong River. My lord! The Master of Shadow Cloud and the Master of Voodoo Chi were the first to bow respectfully. The Dear Buglord and Luo Feng followed suit and bowed. Duandongha, however, turned a blind eye to them. His gaze landed on the 3-dimensional shadows supported by the stone pillars in front of him. He sighed with emotion. Do you see them? Sir, there are a total of 123 3-dimensional shadows on the left, and 10,080 3-dimensional shadows on the right. Among them, the one on the left was perfect and flawless and seemed to contain a profound secret art. The ones on the right are all incomplete, the Lord of Shadow and Cloud said. Lord of the Stag Bug also said, the first 123 figures on the right coincide with the 123 figures on the left. Right. Duandongha looked at the dazzling images that emitted thousands of rays of light. His eyes were misty as he said softly, This is my hometown, which is also the most popular form of entertainment in my civilization. It's also a method to train and train one's comprehension. Any large power or special inheritance, etc., would usually bring it out to test the candidate's comprehension. It's called Emperor Shi's Game. Emperor Shi's Game? Luo Feng, Dear Bug Lord, Shadow Cloud Lord and Voodoo Chi Lord all listened carefully. The Emperor Rhino game was created by an ancient and powerful existence, Emperor Rhino, before he died. Emperor Rhino's life could be said to be tragic. He was a true hero, but in the end, however, the Emperor Rhino game made him remembered by all the experts of our civilization. Of course, his strength was much stronger than mine. Duan Dongha. After he fell, this game was created. Back then, countless warriors treated it as a form of entertainment. However, later on, they discovered that it had extremely high requirements for comprehension, and frequently studying the game can also raise one's comprehension. In our civilization, from a newborn child to an absolute being, they all love to play this game. Emperor Shi's game has a total of 10,081 games. Duan Dongha. The right side has a total of 10,080 games. As for the 10081 game, it has no games, and the left side is the perfect solution. Complete the first 123 games, and that's the solution. Luo Feng and the others nodded. Studying the first 123 games, you should be able to study the basic mysteries of the rules. Duan Dongha. If you can't even comprehend the basic mysteries, then your comprehension is simply too low. After you've comprehended the rules, you can begin solving the games. Solve the 124th game on the right side, 125th game, solve them one by one. I'll give you a longer period of time. Do your best to solve the games. When the time is up, if you haven't even reached my requirements, you'll be eliminated. Duan Dongha said directly. Of course, this elimination will only result in death. Luo Feng and the others were shocked. Death? Of course you haven't truly touched the inheritance yet. Duan Dongha. Only when you've reached my requirements and reached the next hall will you be able to touch the inheritance. If you haven't touched the inheritance, naturally your souls won't be destroyed. I'll only destroy your bodies. If you have bodies, you can still survive. Duan Dongha said directly. However, after you begin to touch the inheritance, other than one person who has a chance of inheriting it, the rest will all have their souls destroyed. Look ahead. Duan Dongha pointed ahead. Rise. Rumble. 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 The ground in the middle of the pathway shook and began to split apart. Immediately 4 rainbow pillars appeared. These 4 pillars belong to the 4 of you. Duan Dongha looked at Luo Feng, Dear Bug Lord and the others. The moment you've comprehended the rules, you can begin solving the game, 124th game. Complete the game, use your God energy to draw it out and send it into the pillar. The moment you succeed, the pillar will alert you. If you fail, the pillar won't have any reaction. Go. Even though the time is long, it's limited. If within the limited time, which one of you can solve 6,000 games, you will immediately receive my Duan Dongha inheritance. Of course, solving 6,000 games, your future is destined to be limitless. Your future achievements will be even stronger than mine. However, I believe none of you will be able to do it. Within the limited time, the one who solves the most games will have more benefits during the inheritance. Duan Dongha's gaze swept past Luo Feng and the others, after which he vanished. Duan Dongha vanished. Within this wide pathway, there were 123 3D images on the left and 10080 on the right. Luo Feng, Dear Bug Lord, Shadow Cloud Lord and Shaman Lord all felt a formless pressure. Game? Entertainment? The Shadow Cloud Lord said softly. I didn't expect that Duan Dongha would use a game from the ancient civilization to test us. Fool. Dear Bug Lord said coldly, You still think it's a game? Haven't you heard that from the ancient civilization, from the juniors to the strongest beings, they all love this Emperor Shi game? And as long as we can solve the 6,000th game, our future achievements will be even higher than Duan Donghe's Wu. That also means, passing the reincarnation will be easy. The Shadow Cloud Lord, Shaman Lord and Luo Feng's hearts were burning. Passing the reincarnation, to be able to allow one's race to exist for eternity, what kind of glory was that? Allowing humanity to exist for eternity. Luo Feng thought. The Deerbug Lord was similarly burning. Even the Purple Moon ancestor values it so much. He's long surpassed the reincarnation, and his strength is incredibly profound. Even he values this inheritance. This inheritance is obviously very important. I want to see this Emperor Shi game. Just how powerful it is. I don't believe I can't solve the 6,000th game. Everyone present was burning within. The Shadow Cloud Lord, Shaman Lord and Deerbug Lord all considered themselves Universe Lords. Their consciousness revolved extremely quickly, incomparably terrifying, able to think of countless things in a second. Naturally they had confidence. Luo Feng too had confidence. My attainment in the engravings is extremely high. These engravings and the Emperor Shi game are both 3D games. Just from looking at it earlier, I can see the many engravings. Luo Feng thought, the two probably have similarities, and ever since I left the black patterned pillar space for hundreds of years, my consciousness has been comprehending the laws and studying the techniques. The time flow has been sped up by 3,000 times. My attainment in techniques is much higher now. Purple Moon Sacred Land Universe. Ancestor. Lord Stagbug's clone faced the endless sky and said respectfully, I'm trying to understand the ancient civilization's method of testing one's perception, Emperor Rhino's game. I need to solve enough puzzles in a limited time, so I need a space with an extremely fast time flow. Everything that happened within the Sacred Land universe, the Purple Moon ancestor knew. Emperor Shi game? A gentle voice resounded. I know of the Emperor Shi game, it's extremely profound, you have to go all out. I'll send your body to the time realm. The time realm can maintain 10,000 times faster time flow, your body will observe from the universe boat, your consciousness will stay there to study. The Shaman Lord and Shadow Cloud Lord too went to ask the first true Lord. And within the small universe, one could also open up a space with extremely fast time flow. Their avatars were also arranged to be among them. Quick, your serene sea clone, quickly head to the small universe of the creator of the huge axe. The ancestor has been suppressed forever, causing the primal universe to be unable to maintain perfect time flow. Within the universe, we can open up a space that can maintain 10,000 times faster time flow. The moment he found out about Luo Feng's situation, the Primal Chaos City leader didn't care much, personally bringing Luo Feng's new ocean body and heading towards the creator's universe. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidian.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1254. The tomb boat. Within the quiet walkway, the 3D silhouettes glowed with all sorts of colors. Luo Feng, the Deer Bug Lord, the Shaman Lord and the Shadow Cloud Lord began to walk towards the 3D silhouettes, standing before the pillars, their eyes gleaming, their god energy seeping into the silhouettes and studying them. Even though I've trained longer than them, my consciousness's movement speed is much faster than theirs. The Deer Bug Lord thought. The Shadow Shaman couple and Luo Feng, even though they didn't speak, the invisible intense competition between them was incomparably intense. Because they were the first batch to receive the inheritance. The ones with the highest chance were the four of them. Huge Axe Creator's small universe, one of the independent worlds. Around a piece of land, there were endless whirlwinds and black energy flows, almost like they could destroy the world. Luo Feng sat cross-legged on the peak of a mountain, looking at the distant whirlwinds. His finger, however, pointed into space, threads of god energy seeping in, swiftly drawing an incomparably complex 3D silhouette in mid-air. What a mysterious, what a complex Emperor Rhino game! I've studied it for a while, yet I'm still confused. What are the basic rules of this Emperor Rhino game? Ever since he was young, Luo Feng had never played games so wholeheartedly. Back on Earth, his goal was to change his parents' lives, and after becoming a fighter, he never let himself slack off. Who would want to stand at the pinnacle of the primal universe, instead starting to study the most popular game of the ancient civilization? Towards this most popular game of the ancient civilization, Luo Feng was filled with curiosity. After all, this was a game that could test one's comprehension, or even raise one's comprehension. Just what are the rules? Luo Feng carefully studied. Even though he had only just begun studying the tomb boat, in truth, with 10,000 times time acceleration, he had already studied for over a day. With his consciousness calculating speed, even if it was a universe ship, he could swiftly study every single part of it. However, he couldn't even find the most basic rules of the game. A total of 123 puzzles? 123 puzzles, 123 puzzles. They all correspond to each other, light, form. Luo Feng continued to study. Luo Feng sat there and studied for a total of 3 years, his mouth muttering and his god energy practicing. So these are the rules of the game. Luo Feng finally smiled. Emperor Rhino Game. A 3D game layout, similar to a complex engraving. 1. Divided into 10,081 basic elements. 2. Each basic element on each line can only appear once in each miniature 3D image. 3. Every basic element will cause the miniature three-dimensional map to change. As a result, the miniature 3D drawings had an almost endless variety of styles. The miniature 3D images in each array must not be exactly the same. 4, 5, 9. The final solution to the puzzle will form a three-dimensional illusory image. Strands of divine power will form a perfect cycle of energy. It will exist eternally, unbreakable and imperishable. 9 rules of the game. It was extremely complicated. According to the degree of complexity, even the consciousness of the Lord of the Universe could not forcibly remember the location of every fundamental element. Countless fundamental elements formed a miniature three-dimensional image. Countless miniature three-dimensional images formed a miniature three-dimensional image. Countless miniature three-dimensional images formed a medium-sized three-dimensional image. Countless medium-sized three-dimensional images finally formed a three-dimensional image. Even the masters of the universe could not forcibly memorize something. He had to understand the intricacies of this game. It was just like how one had to truly understand the profoundness of a secret technique before they could be used, because the complexity of the technique had already surpassed the limits of memorizing it. Unbelievable! Luo Feng was shocked. Such complicated laws, and every game formed is actually so perfect that it can't be broken or destroyed, not consuming a single bit of energy? It's unbelievable. Even my miniature universe engraved picture can't achieve a perfect energy cycle. Powerful. Emperor Shi's first game, in terms of profoundness, can't even compare to the miniature universe engraved picture. However, to be able to achieve an unbreakable and eternal energy cycle, only then can it be called perfect. Emperor Shi, no wonder he was respected by Duan Dong He. He was actually able to create such a mysterious and unpredictable game. Luo Feng was excited. The moment he understood the rules, it was obviously much easier to study the Emperor Shi game. Immediately, he felt the shocking attraction of the game. Luo Feng was immediately immersed in it. Interesting. There was a challenge. There was a sense of achievement. Luo Feng was even more impressed with Emperor Shi. He was actually able to create such a game. Under the premise of knowing the rules, this game had an extremely high requirement for one's consciousness. Probably only an undying or above could truly immerse themselves in it, and those with lower strength wouldn't be able to truly study it. That Duan Dong, he said, in the ancient civilization, from the juniors to the absolute beings, they all liked to play games. Don't tell me, The juniors from the ancient civilization can become undying. Luo Feng had this thought, after which he didn't think anymore and began to immerse himself in studying the Emperor Shi game. The Deer Bug Lord, Shadow Cloud Lord, Shaman Lord and Luo Feng all stood there, looking at the 3D images. Shadow Cloud, I've discovered the rules. The Shaman Lord communicated. What rules? The Shadow Cloud Lord was overjoyed. This despicable Emperor Shi game, under 10,000 times time acceleration, I've studied it for so long and still haven't figured out the rules. The rules are, the Shaman Lord swiftly informed. Right, haha, so it's like that. Why did I feel that my summary before wasn't able to fully explain the wonders of these 3D images? So this is the rules. The miniature 3D images are actually so complicated. The Shadow Cloud Lord was overjoyed. Shaman Lord, we both know the rules. I wonder if Deer Bug and Een he have comprehended them. The couple looked at Luo Feng and the Deer Bug Lord. The Deer Bug Lord and Luo Feng stood there like statues, unmoving. Don't worry about it. The two of us can communicate, comprehend and imprint each other's designs. We'll have a much better advantage than them. The Shaman Lord said. When the second true Lord and the others arrive, we'll have a higher chance of winning. The Shadow Cloud Lord was also filled with anticipation. The 3 great reincarnation eras and the 2 sacred lands. Almost all the powers and warriors were heading towards the universe boat. The first to arrive was actually the weaker Sky Bell clan from the first reincarnation era. Rumble! It far surpassed 100,000 times the speed of light. A blur wreaked havoc in the ice-fire region, advancing with terrifying speed and quickly nearing the tomb boat. This caused the Bone Race's Nethersea Lord, Scarlet Mantis Lord and Giant Rock Lord, who were guarding the tomb boat's cabin, to look into the distance with fear in their hearts. It's the strongest in the universe. The 3 of them had a common understanding. Wah! The blur rapidly decelerated, but it still stopped at the cabin door domineeringly, scaring the Nethersea Lord, Scarlet Mantis Lord and Giant Rock Lord into retreating. Shadow Bell Demon Lord? The Nethersea Lord, Scarlet Mantis Lord and Giant Rock Lord all looked outside. In the air above the cabin door, a black bell shadow floated. After that, the black bell shadow dissipated, revealing a strange old man with a head full of long hair and billions of small black bells. This old man even had small bells on his eyebrows, skin, and hair. While flying, faint bell chimes could be heard. This was the unique characteristic of the Sky Bell clan. Shadow Bell Demon Lord. The Nethersea Lord and the other 2 bowed respectfully. Haha, Bone Race, I have to thank you for passing on the information. The Shadow Bell Demon Lord laughed. I just happened to be in the depths of the universe boat's inner region, so I immediately found 3 of my clan's experts in the inner region and rushed over. 3 auras appeared out of nowhere. The 3 Sky Bell clan experts appeared at the cabin door. Quickly head to the control room. The Shadow Bell Demon Lord ordered and looked at the Nethersea Lord. Your Bone Race should know how to get there, right? I know. The Nethersea Lord said. This is the map. A strand of god power flew out of his body and rapidly constructed a complicated map in midair, directly outlining the route to the control room's core hall. This route was simple to begin with just a slight outline, one could easily understand it. Very good. The Shadow Bell Demon Lord nodded in satisfaction. Then go. The Shadow Bell Demon Lord looked at the 3 Sky Bell clan lords of the universe and said in a low voice, The hope of my Sky Bell clan rests on you. Yes. We will use all our strength until we die. The 3 universe lords were similarly excited. Immediately, they transformed into 3 streams of light and rapidly flew towards the control room's hall. Half a year later, at the cabin door of the tomb boat. Shadow Bell Demon Lord, you actually dare to block this cabin door and not let us in? Does your Sky Bell clan want to have a bloody war with our number 1 ancestor god religion? Scram! Shadow Bell Demon Lord. Outside the cabin door, there were already 6 universe lords gathered. They were originally in a dangerous place not far from the flame ice region and had immediately rushed over after hearing the news. However, for the sake of his clansmen, the Shadow Bell Demon Lord naturally allowed the other experts to enter as late as possible. Humph! The Shadow Bell Demon Lord stood there coldly, completely ignoring them. Boom! A dazzling and powerful aura suddenly tore through space-time and directly broke through the void. This caused the expression of the Shadow Bell Demon Lord, who was blocking the cabin door, to change drastically as he looked into the distance. Such a powerful aura! Which universe's strongest expert is this? I have never seen him before? Purring! A stream of light directly rushed into the cabin door. The Shadow Bell Demon Lord was so frightened that he did not dare to resist. He could completely determine that the palace treasure that the other party was controlling was a supreme treasure. Accompanied by a rumbling sound, a powerful aura spread out. A white-robed elder with some vines and green leaves around his body descended. His gaze swept across the surroundings, and he glanced at the Shadow Bell Demon Lord. "You are..." The Shadow Bell Demon Lord frowned. "East Tharch Sacred Ground Universe? Humph." The white-robed elder couldn't even be bothered to look at the Shadow Bell Demon Lord. With a wave of his hand, a dense cluster of silhouettes appeared in the spacious cabin passage. 20 universe lords, 200 universe supremacies, 2,000 undyings. Go, obtain the inheritance for our East Tharch Sacred Ground universe. The white-robed elder ordered. Yes. The grandiose 2,000 experts all rushed in. In order to be on good terms with the East Tharch Sacred Ground, the Bone Race had long given them a simple map of the tomb boat. I, Bayesian, have already passed over 10 reincarnation eras and have yet to roam the universe sea. The white-robed elder glanced at the Shadow Bell Demon Lord and the others and said coldly, "Since Purple Moon's sacred ground and the other powers have yet to arrive, then they can forget about entering." Boom! The white-robed elder waved his hand. A black glaring huge ball immediately blocked the cabin door. "With me Bayesian here, let's see who else can enter." The white-robed elder took a step forward and merged into the black glaring ball. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1255. Tomb Boat in the Life and Death Corridor. There were 6 silhouettes scattered and observing the Emperor Rhino games. "There's movement." Luo Feng frowned and looked outside. He could faintly feel waves of energy coming from the other end of the corridor. He guessed that it was the place where he had fought with the monster, Quiro. The ripples from this battle were noticed by the Shadow Cloud Lord, Shaman Lord, Deer Bug Lord and the 2 Universe Lords from the Sky Bell clan. Everyone's expressions were ugly. Could it be that another expert has come? Luo Feng muttered to himself, "That Duandong River Gate has been open all this time." He didn't even kill the Bone Clan and others that were eliminated at the start, instead letting them go. He's obviously spreading the news to get more warriors to come. The more candidates there were, the higher the chances of a warrior that could receive the inheritance would be. Luo Feng naturally understood why Duandong River was doing this. However, he still felt the pressure. This Emperor Rhino game is really deep. Even though less than a year has passed here, I've already studied for thousands of years in the huge Axe universe. Luo Feng sighed. After thousands of years of studying, I'm still in the pondering stage. Right now, I can only finish the 119th game in an instant within this crystal pillar. From the first to the 10,081 games, the requirements for comprehension were getting more and more exaggerated. Even though he had already concluded the rules and completely solved the first to 123rd game, it was still very difficult to completely understand and instantly set up the game. Luo Feng only felt himself improving after comprehending the first 100 games. That was a type of improvement in comprehension. When he thought about the game, his consciousness was more multidimensional. After a while, rumble! A strong ripple traveled over. A large number of silhouettes flew over. Luo Feng and the others couldn't help but turn to look. Their expressions changed. So many. This many. How can there be so many? Luo Feng and the others were all shocked. With a glance, there were probably hundreds of them in the blurry crowd. And these hundreds of silhouettes all looked similar. Most of them had green leaves and vines around them. Obviously they were from the same race. Only a few were clearly different. Almost all of them are from the East Emperor's Sacred Land universe. Only 3 are from other races. The Shadow Cloud Lord's expression changed. The East Emperor's Sacred Land universe actually sent so many. Look, it's not just the Master of the Universe. There are even Universe Knights and Undyings. Master Shaman said, that monster Kilo from before was extremely terrifying, but even Universe Knights and Undyings came back alive. I'm afraid that monster Kilo also looks at the level of the person who enters. Yes. This news is very important. Before, the clan only brought a few more Universe Knights to gamble, but didn't bring any Undyings. This news has to be sent to the clan. In terms of Undyings, my God, clan has plenty of them. The incarnations of the Shadow Wizard couple immediately began to report the news to the clan. Unfortunately, the 2nd and 7th True Lords sent by the Holy-Eyed race had already set off. Quite a lot of people have come this time. A cold voice rang out. Luo Feng turned to glance. The distant light condensed into a silhouette. Duandong River. Luo Feng only glanced once before ignoring it. This was because every time a newcomer came, Duandonghe would come out and give an explanation. Previously, when the 2 Universe Lords of the Heavenly Bell race had arrived, Duandong he had explained the same thing. Luo Feng would occasionally pay attention to his surroundings. However, this didn't affect his comprehension speed at all. He, the Deer Bug Emperor, the Shadow Wizard couple, as the earliest batch, they had the advantage. Even if there were exceptional ones later on, as long as one of the 4 reached the requirements first, they would naturally be the first to receive the inheritance. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Before, when I planned out the first 100 games, I felt enlightened and improved quite a bit. Now that I've comprehended the first 123 games, I'll just have to wait for the next 124 games. Luo Feng glanced at the distant 124th game, after which he focused on the crystal pillar before him and began trying to solve it. Even though he had comprehended the first 123 games, as the solutions were already made public, there wasn't any difficulty at all. He just had to comprehend it. This was his first real attempt. It wasn't like before, when he looked at the results and comprehended it. Instead, he looked at the end of the game and tried to solve it. It was obviously very uncomfortable. Once, twice, Luo Feng tried to plan out the game. Even though he didn't have much confidence in the basic elements, he was just relying on his feelings. As time passed, Luo Feng's mind became clearer and clearer. In an instant, his mind went from over 10,000 dimensions to drawing and combining them, swiftly confirming the basic elements one by one in this first attempt. He immediately gained new experience from his previous comprehension. A full half a month passed. A cone-shaped 3-dimensional silhouette formed within the crystal pillar. No one outside could see it. The 3-dimensional silhouette was incredibly perfect, floating without any god energy dissipating. 124th game, perfect solution. A ripple was transmitted into Luo Feng's consciousness. Luo Feng immediately rejoiced within. Finally, he succeeded in his first attempt. Continue to the 125th game. Time passed. After the warriors of the East Emperor's Sacred Land universe arrived, Luo Feng and the others felt the ripples of many absolute warriors battling outside. Since it was from outside, it should be the strongest warriors of the universe. 5th month since the warriors of the East Emperor's Sacred Land arrived. Rumble! 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 The terrifying ripples spread within the tomb boat, weakening layer by layer. At this point, even the Undyings studying the She-Emperor game in the life and death corridor could feel it. Like Luo Feng, Dear Bug Lord and the others, their senses were naturally much stronger. Damn East Emperor Universe! Dear Bug Lord's eyes flashed with rage. He looked coldly at the distant Universe Lords, Knights and Undyings of the East Emperor's sacred land. That North True Star Lord actually blocked the door, the cabin door. Doesn't that North True Star Lord rely on his many treasures to be so arrogant? The three great reincarnation eras knew very little about the North True Star Lord. However, Dear Bug Lord, who had lived for a long time, knew him very well. The Lord of the North True Star was extremely old and was one of the few strongest experts in the East Tharch Sacred Ground Cosmos. This was because the East Tharch Sacred Ground Cosmos had existed for too long and had obtained numerous ancient inheritances. Even though the North True Star Lord didn't have a small universe anymore with his ancient inheritance, his battle strength was still considered high amongst the strongest in the universe. And this time, the East Emperor's sacred land went all out. Even the strongest of the other universe lent him treasures, allowing him to bring a total of 4 treasures. They were the palace type, domain type, close range, and long range treasures. The moment he blocked the door, the warriors of the Purple Moon sacred land arrived and were actually unable to rush in. Damn! Dear Bug Lord snorted angrily. After which, he didn't think anymore and focused on studying the technique. The battle outside never stopped. Purple Moon Sacred Land and East Emperor Sacred Land were really going all out. However, both sides were well prepared. And North True Star Lord arrived first, blocking the cabin door, leaving them helpless. This time, North True Star Lord was able to arrive first. Firstly, he had the attack treasures to open the way. Secondly, they had a more detailed map of the universe boat and took a closer route. And Purple Moon Sacred Land and the God Eye race arrived not too far apart, only 3 days apart. On the 3rd day of the battle between Purple Moon Sacred Land and East Emperor Sacred Land. North True. Scram. North True, you think you alone can stop the 3 of us? Scram. Eternal True God. Go, get him out of the way. At the cabin door, Purple Moon Sacred Land and the God Eye race teamed up. The 3 strongest warriors of the universe surrounded and attacked North True Star Lord. The strongest of the God Eye race, however, they all had their own small universe. The power they could unleash was not normal. Plus the 2nd and 7th True Lord were proficient in combination technique. Even though North True Star Lord wasn't afraid, he could only hold on for a while before being sent flying. Luo Feng and the hundreds of warriors were immersed in studying the Rhino Emperor game. Of course the fastest were naturally Luo Feng, the Deer Bug Emperor and the others. Even though some of the Universe Knights and Undyings had come over, their speed was obviously much slower. Especially the Undyings, even though they were told the rules by their race's Universe Lords, they still didn't understand. Rumble! 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 From the monster Kuei Luo, waves of energy rippled over. Luo Feng understood. This time it would probably be another huge bat. With so many coming, at most only one will receive the inheritance. Luo Feng exclaimed. It was madness, the races were all going crazy. After a while, a grand formation of hundreds of silhouettes flew over. Of these hundreds of silhouettes, with a glance, most of them were Undyings from the Purple Moon Sacred Land. And in terms of universe supremacies and universe lords, Purple Moon Sacred Land Cosmos was equal to the Holy-Eyed race, and also equal to the East Emperor Sacred Land Cosmos, and even had 2 less. However, if Lord Deerworm was added in, Purple Moon Sacred Land would have a slight advantage. This is the most basic rule. The Deer Bug Lord glanced and immediately began to inform the others. A blurry light began to gather. The light condensed into a green-haired man. His eyes were as calm as the sea as he glanced at the thousands of candidates on the field. Latecomers, this is the final test before you head to the next hall. It is a test of your comprehension. This is my hometown, the most widely spread game. It can't even be treated as a game, but as an important aid in training. It can test and raise one's comprehension. It's called the Rhino Emperor game. Duandong, he slowly described it. Begin. Within a limited amount of time, those who solve the game and reach my minimum requirements will be allowed to enter the next palace. Duandong coldly swept his eyes over. Don't underestimate this Emperor Rhino game. Of the first 4, up until now, only a human has perfectly solved the 124th game. The other 3 are too slow. If this continues, Duandong, he shook his head and laughed coldly before vanishing. The moment those words were spoken, the God Eye race, Purple Moon Sacred Land, East Emperor Sacred Land and the other powers, over 1,000 candidates all looked at Luo Feng simultaneously. Luo Feng's expression changed too. Damn Duandong, this is too vicious. He actually said such words. Attack this human. Make him unable to fully comprehend. Attack. Attack this human. Dear Buglord and the Ing couple stood coldly in the distance without making a sound. However, the God Eye race, Purple Moon Sacred Land and East Emperor Sacred Land all sent 2 or 3 Universe Lords simultaneously to attack Luo Feng. Even though Duandong he allowed them to comprehend, he didn't say killing was forbidden during that time. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1256. The Holy-Eyed Race, Purple Moon Sacred Land, and East Emperor Sacred Land, a total of 8 Universe Lords made their moves at the same time. Their divine powers burned, transforming into roaring mutated beasts, huge axes that could slice through everything, or countless threads that intertwined. All sorts of attacks enveloped Luo Feng. Damn bunch of trash! Luo Feng gritted his teeth and immediately shook his body. Hua! The mad demon destroyer armor expanded fiercely and swiftly formed a beast god, a huge horned lizard. Just like Yin Tuo's golden sulphone armor and 5 Turbid Lords' mad demon destroyer armor, they could all instantly form a beast god. And his own body hid within the beast god's body. Normally, a beast god armor that could expand outwards was worth even more than a pinnacle palace treasure. Howl, the horned lizard roared, allowing the 8 attacks to slam into its body. However, it wasn't damaged at all. God-Eyed Clan, Purple Moon Sacred Land and East Emperor Sacred Land, you guys are actually shameless to this extent. The horned lizard roared. Shameless? What a joke. Our lifespan is almost up. This precious Duandong River inheritance is our only chance of survival. For this inheritance, anything we do isn't considered shameless. Immediately, a God-Eyed Clan warrior laughed coldly. Luo Feng, you humans also want this inheritance? A weak race with just 1 universe warrior. A 3-faced 8-armed old man from the Purple Moon Sacred Land laughed coldly. What a joke! The horned lizard looked coldly at him. Weak? They probably didn't know the strength of the creator of the huge axe. You think just because you have an armor treasure, you can ignore us? A gloomy expert from the Holy-Eyed Clan sneered. Everyone, let's kill the one who poses the greatest threat. Alright. Even if we can't kill him, we have to make him unable to focus on studying Emperor Shi's situation. Immediately, the 8 Universe Lords continued to surround and attack. Last time, they stood far away and only used their god energy to attack. Hence, the power wasn't that great. However, this time, these Universe Lords were mostly level 5 or at least level 4. All of them attacked, either soul attacks or close combat attacks. Howl, the horned lizard roared. A bunch of trash. You don't even dare to study fairly. What's fair? Weak humans, the weak have no right to talk about fairness. Haha, what a joke. As they sneered, they wantonly attacked the one-horned lizard. Boom, the lizard tumbled and smashed into the wall, even hitting one of the pillars with a 3D silhouette, causing it to shake violently. However, these pillars were indestructible. This made the 8 universe lords even more reckless. Under their combined attacks, Luo Feng didn't even have a chance to retaliate. The crazy demon god exterminating armor can transform into a beast god, and its defense is extremely strong. It's comparable to a peak-grade palace treasure, but its combat strength is still at the 4th rank. Of the 8 of them, 6 are clearly stronger than me. Only 2 are on par with me. The worst part is that those 2 didn't fight me one-on-one. Instead, they surrounded me. Luo Feng was exasperated. He used his burning divine energy to maintain the stability of the horned lizard. Even though it was struggling and dodging, it was still being ravaged. In this kind of battle, he had to constantly maintain the stability of the one-horned lizard, which caused him to be distracted. The efficiency of his comprehension immediately dropped. Damn it! East Duanha is just going to watch this happen. Luo Feng was furious, yet he didn't understand what Duanha was planning. That Duanha's words from before were basically to make him the target of everyone. His short training time was publicly acknowledged in the Universe Sea, and he was one of the first batch to enter the inheritance. During the Magic Cube, Duanha already saw him in a new light, and during the Rhino Emperor game, he was also the first to solve the 124th set. Many factors, God Eye Clan, Purple Moon Sacred Land and East Emperor Sacred Land, how could they watch Luo Feng get the inheritance? Naturally they would be ruthless. Howl, the horned lizard let out a furious roar. His 4 hooves stomped fiercely, immediately leaving a blur and rushing towards the group of Undyings in the corridor. Not good. Everyone dodge. The Undyings were shocked. A Universe Lord level battle would affect them? Actually, from the start of the battle till now, no one had fallen. Because no one knew of Duanha's rules, since it was a candidate selection, from Duanha's point of view, he probably didn't want to see a massacre amongst the candidates. Hence, the 8 Universe Lords attacking Luo Feng wisely controlled their energies, preventing the ripples from reaching the Undyings. However now, Luo Feng had rushed into a large group of Undyings. The moment they started fighting, no matter how much they tried to control their energies, just a slight ripple would be enough to kill an Undying. Pung! A glaring heavy hammer seemed to fill the entire land and skies, smashing onto the back of the horned lizard, causing its 4 hooves to bend. A formless ripple spread out, the Undyings that had fled earlier, 2 unlucky ones were still caught in it, almost like dust blown away by the wind. They immediately dissipated, destroyed. Dead. The horned lizard turned to look. An Undying has died. The 8 Universe Lords attacking Luo Feng were stunned too. They stopped to look. Even the Shadow Cloud Lord, Shaman Lord and Deer Bug Lord looked over, filled with anticipation. Ever since the large group of warriors had arrived, the 3 of them hadn't interfered in dealing with Luo Feng. Because the 3 of them were highly valued by the God Eye Clan and Purple Moon Sacred Land, they had the highest hopes of inheriting the inheritance. The 2 powers naturally didn't want them to take the risk. There was a short period of silence. The horned lizard and the 8 Universe Lords were all watching to see if the 2 Undyings' deaths would cause any commotion in Duanha. Chi. Suddenly, the stone pillars with the 3D images on them, the 123 on the left and the 123 on the right, simultaneously shot out black and white thread. A total of 246 threads instantly condensed in midair, forming a thread of light that was like a swimming snake with intelligence. It immediately swept towards the Universe Lord of the East Emperor Universe, who had smashed Luo Feng with his hammer. The speed of the light was extremely fast. It had already exceeded 100 times the speed of light, exceeding the limits of the origin laws. Shwa! All the warriors felt a powerful ripple. An unwilling roar. That tall and sturdy Universe Lord wielding the God Hammer was immediately destroyed, leaving only a few treasures on the ground. Hundreds of threads wrapped around the hammers, armors, and other treasures. With a swoosh, they were sent to the nearest stone pillar with a three-dimensional shadow. The hammers, armors, and other treasures disappeared into the stone pillar. The entire corridor was silent. After a long time, the Mist Lord is dead? Mist Lord, East Emperor Sacred Land Universe's Mist Lord. All the warriors present were completely shocked. Even Luo Feng felt his heart go cold. It was too terrifying. They originally thought that even if Duanhe wanted to punish them, it would be the subordinates of the monstrous Kuei Luo. However, the stone pillars in this corridor actually had techniques within them. They were actually still activated even after countless eras of time. One strike, killing the Mist Lord. Mist Lord, a special life form of the East Emperor Sacred Land Universe. He was originally proficient in trapping enemies, plus he was originally a mist life form. Even after condensing into human form, killing him was still extremely difficult. Because he had cultivated the secret technique for countless reincarnation eras, this fog creature was able to unleash the most powerful and unyielding attack. In terms of strength, he was definitely comparable to the primal Chaos City leader. In terms of life preservation, he was even stronger than the primal Chaos City leader. Just like that, he had lived for an incomparably long time, an existence that could dominate the universe. See, an existence that even the strongest of the universe would find hard to kill. He was actually destroyed in one strike? Too terrifying. This is too terrifying. The Mist Lord was destroyed just like that. A portion of the weaker Undying's eyes were filled with fear. Luo Feng let out a sigh of relief within. Duanhe was indeed powerful, however this lightning-fast method should be able to shock these bastards. However, Duanhe was too vicious, instantly killing him and taking away the treasures. Before, when we surrounded this human Milky Way, Lord Duanhe didn't stop us at all. And it was because we affected the Undyings that the Mist Lord died. The god-eyed raceman said coldly, hence as long as we don't affect the surrounding warriors, we'll be fine. Right, we fought for so long before and he didn't stop us, and he didn't even punish us. Let's do it. Our three powers have a huge advantage now. We definitely can't let this Luo Feng acquire the inheritance. We'll first tie him down. As for our three sides, it'll depend on our own abilities. I suggest, all the Undyings and Universe Knights, temporarily enter the palace treasures. The man said directly, since the rules are known, they can familiarize themselves with the battle. Let them study within the palace treasures first. Otherwise we'll affect them. Alright. Agreed. God-eyed race, Purple Moon Sacred Land, East Emperor Sacred Land, these three powers didn't hesitate, all had Universe Lords act, keeping their own knights and Undyings into the palace treasures. Luo Feng's single-horned lizard stood there, looking at the seven silhouette. Mist Lord is already dead. Don't tell me you all want to die too? The lizard roared softly. Mist Lord only died in his original body. He still has his clones. A man from the East Deity's sacred grounds cosmos, whose divine body was surrounded by vines and green leaves, sneered. All of us who attacked you have the ability to clone ourselves, as long as we can destroy you and make you unable to inherit. So what if we die in our original bodies? Right, as long as this human dies, even if we die, it's worth it. I came here with no intentions of acquiring the inheritance, as long as we can get rid of the obstruction to our race. Even if we die, it's worth it. These seven Universe Lords were all prepared to die. Even if they really died, they would be willing, much less in the corridors, even if it was just their original bodies, as long as they had clones, they could still survive. Weak humans, stop dreaming, this inheritance, you won't be able to get it. The seven silhouettes simultaneously surrounded the lizard. They had long prepared. Even if they didn't study the She-Emperor game, they had to delay and destroy this human. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidian.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1257. Within the tomb boat's life and death pathway stood many majestic silhouettes. They were either plant life forms, flesh and blood life forms, or rock life forms. Their appearances were all different, their armor and robes were different too. Of which the God-eyed clan, Purple Moon Sacred Land and East Emperor Sacred Land were the three strongest powers. Each of them had over 10 universe lords. There were also a few scattered lords of the universe who had been very close to the blazing ice realm from the start. That was why they had arrived so early. Even though they were strong, they didn't dare interfere with the three powers dealing with the human Luofeng. Pitiful human! What an unlucky bastard! That human he studied the Rhino Emperor game and performed a little faster, that Duandong River would have said it out loud. If the two of us can comprehend the Emperor Rhino's game quickly, will it be made public? Would we be surrounded too? Even if we can solve it, we can hide our strength first and not demonstrate it in the crystal pillar. After a while, when there are more warriors here, it won't be too late to demonstrate then. When that time comes, there will be more warriors from our clan. Even though they saw Luofeng being surrounded, they didn't feel any pity. Because deep in their hearts, they too desired the inheritance. Getting rid of Luofeng, who they had the most hope of getting it, was actually a good thing. Damn bastard! The lizard's claws clashed with the huge millstone. At the same time, its tail swung fiercely and became a glaring arc. Like a blade slicing through the air, it sliced towards one of the God-eyed clan's one-eyed life forms. At this time, even though the ones attacking Luofeng belonged to the three powers, not all of them were from their own clans. The Lord of Mist that was killed by the East-breaking river through the secret arts contained in the stone pillars was also a special life form. Some of the stronger powers would have their own subordinate. Like the primal universe humans, they formed the Great Alliance and had a few universe lords as their subordinate. If the primal universe was destroyed in the future, then Luofeng's human race would naturally enter a small universe. When that time comes, there would be a smaller space for the subordinate. At least the universe lords would be able to continue living. These universe lords naturally had lower statuses than the main race. Usually, they would be the ones in the most dangerous situations. Just like this time, more than half of the people attacking Luofeng were the subordinates of the three powers. Even though they were subordinates, their strength was still the real deal. Inhe, you're quite good at struggling. Your armor isn't bad. You lost the silver wings, but you actually obtained a good armor. But what's the use of struggling? Even if you don't die fighting us with all your might, how much effort will you have left in that Emperor Shi's game? Give up and quit as soon as possible. The 7 universe lords surrounding Luofeng had an overwhelming advantage. After all, Luofeng's god energy was weaker. Even though his techniques and other aspects weren't lacking, he could barely match up to the weakest of the 7 universe lords. The moment he was surrounded, he could only be trampled on. He completely relied on the beast god form of the Mad Demon Destroyer armor. His defense was extremely strong, allowing him to hold on. No. Luofeng, who was fighting within the horned lizard's body at lightning speed, felt anxious. This can't go on. I need to maintain the beast god's existence at all times, and it consumes too much divine energy. If I stay here for too long, it will consume a lot of my divine body's energy. In the cosmic sea, the replenishment of my divine power is slow. What's more, even if I don't have to worry about my divine power being depleted, if I continue fighting like this, the efficiency of my research on Emperor Rhino's game will greatly decrease. I can't care anymore. Luofeng grit his teeth. Because there were large amounts of universe lords present, and even 2 of the universe's strongest. Hence, he didn't want to take out the Star Pagoda. However, at this point, he had no other choice. Studying the Emperor Shi's game was the most important thing. The horned lizard that was surrounded fled pitifully under the attacks of the 7 universe lords. Suddenly, rumble! A blood-colored pagoda suddenly emerged from within the horned lizard's body. the lizard swiftly disintegrated and entered the blood-colored pagoda. This blood-colored pagoda sat within the corridor and didn't move at all. The palace treasure. He actually hid within the palace treasure. He really thinks we have no way of dealing with him. Foolish punk, hiding within the palace treasure, that's truly courting death. The 7 universe lords stood around the blood-colored pagoda, looking at it in the center. They exchanged glances and laughed. Who will act? Who will act? This chance, you do it. It's still better for you to do it. Your sealing treasure is an absolute treasure amongst the pinnacle treasures. You have more confidence in sealing him. The conversations outside, Luo Feng, who was within the star pagoda, naturally heard them clearly. Luo Feng didn't dare to relax within the control room of the star pagoda. He carefully observed the outside world and listened to the conversations outside. Seeing the universe lords discussing, Luo Feng couldn't help but sneer. What a joke, sealing? Trying to seal me? Even if it's a supreme-grade supreme treasure among supreme treasures, it's impossible for it to seal a supreme sealing treasure. Outside world. Wind Wraith Lord laughed loudly. All right, leave it to me. With my treasures, unless his palace is also an absolute treasure, he'll be able to escape my seal. Otherwise, he won't be able to escape the moment he's sealed. At this point, Wind Wraith Lord didn't continue, as he was afraid of being attacked by Duandong River. The moment he was sealed, Luo Feng wouldn't even have the chance to touch the crystal pillar, much less receive the inheritance. Because of the shockwaves earlier, 2 Undyings had died, leading to the death of the Mist Lord. Wind Wraith Lord was also worried that by sealing Luo Feng wouldn't have any chance to receive the inheritance, leading to him being killed. If he was killed after sealing Luo Feng, it was fine, but if he spoke too much before sealing, provoking Duandong River to kill him, that would be a waste. Human. Wind Wraith Lord raised his palm. Immediately a glaring 3-colored pillar floated. He sneered at the blood-colored star pagoda. Seal. The Lord of Wind Gloom combusted his godly power to activate his supreme treasure, causing the tricolored pillar to fly over and hover above the blood-colored star tower. A hole appeared beneath the pillar, and a formless and powerful suction force was exerted on the star tower as it began to devour everything in a frenzy. Rumble, the strong swallowing energy acted on the star pagoda, causing it to tremble slightly. Wind Wraith Lord saw the star pagoda tremble but didn't leave the ground. He gritted his teeth and roared, "Seal! Just a little more. Wind Wraith Lord, your sealing treasure's swallowing energy isn't enough. Give it a little more, go all out." The 6 universe lords beside urged anxiously. Wind Wraith Lord turned angrily and roared, "I've gone all out the moment I started, so what if it's just a little? This human's treasure is also an extreme treasure, it can actually resist it. Which of you have a better one? Come try." "I'll do it," a cold man with a single eye behind him said. Luo Feng leisurely looked at the outside world. What a joke, to make the star pagoda unable to break free and get swallowed, unless the opponent used an extreme treasure too. Otherwise, both of them were sealing treasures. How could an extreme treasure be able to seal his own star pagoda? The sealing failed. Even the lords of the universe would only think that their blood-colored towers were top-grade treasures. Not many would dare to think that they were supreme treasures. Seeing the universe lords fail one by one, Luo Feng didn't dare get careless. These bastards probably had other methods other than sealing. The tens of warriors from the God-Eyed clan, Purple Moon Sacred Land and East Emperor Sacred Land were all anxious. The 7 universe lords that surrounded Luo Feng earlier had no other choice but to borrow treasures from the other warriors. However, none of them succeeded. This human's body is full of treasures, his armor is a treasure, this pagoda treasure is probably a rare extreme treasure too. To swallow it, we'll probably have to use an extreme treasure. Right. Looks like we can only rely on the strongest of the universe to make a move. Right, only the strongest of the universe have such methods. God-eyed clan among the three of us, only your God-eyed clan has the strongest of the universe here. We'll have to depend on your God-eyed clan. All of them frowned. Even the Lord of Deers and Bugs, the Lord of Shadow Dust, and the Lord of Voodoo Chi had noticed this. Two true lords, we have no other way. I'm afraid only a true lord can deal with this Luophone. The Shadow Cloud Lord communicated. Amongst the many warriors present, there were indeed the strongest, the God-eyed clan's second and seventh true lords. This time the God-eyed clan came to explore. Other than the universe lords and knights, there were also the adventuring second and seventh true lords. However, after the two of them arrived, they remained silent and obediently comprehended their, not interfering in this matter at all. At this time, even the universe lords of the three large powers had no other way. The only hope was these two true lords. Shadow Cloud Shaman, we've just arrived. That Duandong, he has long instructed us not to attack the other candidate. If either of us attacks, we'll definitely die. The second true lord explained. The Shadow Shaman couple were shocked. Simultaneously, the second true lord communicated to the three large powers and the universe lords, informing them of the situation. Then what do we do now? Watch Luophone acquire the inheritance. Dear Lord communicated. East Emperor Sacred Land and Purple Moon Sacred Land were pressuring and urging them. The second and seventh true lords exchanged glances and quickly made a decision. I have the absolute treasure Ice Cliff Castle, and it has the ability to seal. The seventh true lord grit his teeth and communicated. However, for this absolute treasure to recognize an owner, it has a high requirement of willpower. If it's a universe lord, then it has to be the strongest in the universe. Your two sacred lands, the universe lords, have all lived for extremely long. There are probably a few with willpower that have reached the strongest in the universe. You guys can randomly pick one and let him temporarily recognize the absolute treasure and let him seal Luophone. Then who will act? Purple Moon Sacred Land and East Emperor Sacred Land hesitated. Because the person who acted had a high chance of dying. My God-eyed clan has already taken out an absolute treasure. Do you still want to send a warrior? The seventh true lord communicated angrily. He was forced into a corner, otherwise, he wouldn't have been willing to take out an absolute treasure. And he was prepared. The moment he sealed Luophone, he would immediately retrieve the absolute treasure to prevent Duandong he from taking it. All right, my East Emperor Sacred Land will do it. Very quickly, a universe lord stood out. Very good. The seventh true lord communicated, with an absolute treasure making a move, unless the human Milky Way also has an absolute treasure, otherwise, he won't be able to escape. Asterisk to be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1258. The Master of the Universe who had stepped forward was called Master Huang Wang. He was a member of the East Tharch Sacred Grounds universe. However, he had the ability to split himself. In addition, when he had been observing Emperor Shi's game and conversing with the other members of his race, he had realized that his speed of enlightenment had slowed down significantly. Hence, he was willing to step forward and make some contributions to his race. Seventh True Lord, that Ice Cliff Castle. Master Huangfu stood by the side, waiting for Seventh True Lord to take out his ultimate treasure. The dozens of Masters of the Universe present were also watching this scene. Haha, you're giving it to me just like that? Do you think my holy-eyed race is stupid? The Seventh True Lord laughed as he glanced at the Master of the Royal Reed. After all, this is a supreme treasure. If you take it and the broken East River can't take it away, what should you do if you refuse to return it? Hence, I have a suggestion: your East Deity's sacred ground should take out an ultimate treasure or some pinnacle treasures for me to use. After we deal with that human He, we can exchange for the treasure. If that ultimate treasure is taken away by East Breaking River, will you still return it? Master Huangfu said coldly. Those pinnacle treasures are useless in my hands. Seventh True Lord shook his head and transmitted, his voice ringing in the minds of every expert. An ultimate treasure that is in danger of being taken away by East Breaking River. Can't we use so many pinnacle treasures as collateral? Moreover, in this inheritance, all of us are in danger of dying, especially the strongest experts of our universe. Because we don't have clones, if we are killed, we will die completely. Do you think I will swallow it? How precious is my ice cliff castle? Whether you choose or not, it's up to you. Seventh True Lord laughed coldly. If you don't have sincerity, I will directly ask you for the ultimate treasure. The East Deity Sacred Ground had more than 10 masters of the universe, and the quality of this selection was obviously very high. They were the absolute elites of the East Deity Sacred Ground. Just among these masters of the universe that came, there were actually 2 who had ultimate treasures. Purple Moon Sacred Ground also had 2 masters of the universe with ultimate treasures, including Lord Deerworm. It was just that Seventh True Lord's ultimate treasure was in danger of being lost. The East Deity Sacred Ground naturally would not be willing to use it as collateral. Alright, let's do it. We agree. The Celestial-Eyed Race and the East Tharch Sacred Ground quickly made the exchange. The Celestial-Eyed Race picked and chose 8 peak-grade supreme-grade items. 3 of them were even comparable to the crazy demon god destroying armor. This showed the foundation of the East Tharch Sacred Ground. This is the Ice Cliff Castle. The Seventh True Lord waved his hand. An ice mountain floated in midair, and beside the cliff of the ice mountain was an exquisite fortress. This ice cliff fortress could be called a work of art. The ice mountain was crystal clear, and the fortress was magnificent, emitting an endless chill. The master of the Royal Reed Master's eyes were blazing as he nodded slightly and immediately tried to recognize him as his master. In the corridor, the star tower that looked like a crimson tower stood there quietly, not moving at all. In the control room, Luo Feng had been carefully observing the outside world. However, as the warriors outside intentionally communicated through their god energy, Luo Feng didn't know what they were planning. However, when they all took out their treasures, even the Seventh True Lord took out the Ice Cliff Castle. Luo Feng immediately guessed. Ice Cliff Castle? The treasure of the Seventh True Lord? Luo Feng's expression changed slightly and his pupils contracted. Looks like they want to use a powerful treasure like the palace to take away my star tower. A supreme treasure against a supreme treasure. Who was stronger, who had the advantage? Without comparing, it was hard to deduce. The star tower's power is tyrannical. Back then in the primal universe for so long, no one was able to take it away. Luo Feng thought, however, that was only in the primal universe. The star tower has never competed with the Ice Cliff Castle before. If he can take it away, then I'm finished. If he can't, even though I'll be fine, the star tower will be exposed. Even the Ice Cliff Castle can't take it away, everyone will know. This blood-colored tower is definitely an absolute treasure. Thoughts swiftly flashed through Luo Feng's mind. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Luo Feng frowned, thinking urgently. Whether or not he could take it away, it wouldn't be good for him. Luo Feng's gaze looked outside, thinking swiftly. HM? Luo Feng's gaze suddenly landed on the crystal and stone pillars, his eyes gleaming. All right, let's do that. Just as the master of the Imperial Reed Castle recognized the Ice Cliff Castle, the blood-colored tower that had been quiet all this while suddenly flew above a crystal pillar with a swoosh. The base of the blood-colored tower caved in, and then it suddenly fell down, directly embedding the crystal pillar within. And the blood-colored tower swiftly grew taller. With a ping, it smashed into the roof of the corridor. The base embedded the crystal pillar within and the roof was against the corridor wall. Haha, you think this will work? The master of the Royal Reed Palace held the Ice Cliff Castle in his hand and laughed. He threw the ice cliff castle in his hand and ignited his divine power. Suddenly, the entire ice cliff castle began to float, diagonally facing the blood-colored tower. Rumble, the ice cliff castle immediately produced an unbelievable powerful swallowing energy, directly affecting the star tower, causing the blood-colored tower to buzz and shake. However, even though it seemed like it almost succeeded, it was obviously still lacking. How can this be? The Emperor raged, looking at the seventh true lord. It's impossible that it can't be swallowed, unless he too has an absolute treasure. The seventh true lord frowned and shook his head. No. The cold god-eyed man frowned and suddenly spoke. It's not an absolute treasure, it's that human he who suddenly moved his treasure and embedded it with the crystal pillar. Everyone don't forget. That pillar was left behind by Duandong River and is completely connected to the tomb boat. To swallow this human's seal, it has to break the pillar. Ah, this has never happened before. How can this be? They were all stunned. Within the control room of the Star Tower, Luo Feng laughed. The Star Tower was originally a sealing treasure. Hence, the base of the tower could split open a huge hole to swallow everything. And with the blood cloud pearls effect, it could change its shape. At this time the base of the Star Tower was stuck to the crystal pillar. Hence, even if the Star Tower wasn't an absolute treasure for the opponent to take it away, he had to separate it from the pillar. Or, the base of the Star Tower would shatter. Or, the pillar would shatter. Or, it would be swallowed along with the pillar. However, obviously, the stone and crystal pillars left behind by Duandong River were all indestructible, unshakable and extremely stable. This sort of thing rarely happens. Luo Feng said softly, when other warriors are swallowed, they can only rely on their god energy to resist. If they hide within their palaces, they can only rely on their own treasures to resist. The reason why it's like this is because it's very rare to encounter an object that even an absolute treasure can't move. And these objects are very rare even in the three great danger grounds. That was indeed the case. In the three great danger grounds, many places like magma, wind, lake etc., when swallowed, didn't even have anything to cling to. Actually, it was the same logic as a normal person being hugged by a tornado. Only when the tree breaks or the person's arm loosens, would they be swept away. And to some absolute warriors, they were too strong and had nothing to cling to. Even in the three great danger grounds, objects that even the strongest warriors in the universe couldn't destroy or move were very rare. Tombboat? Black patterned pillars? These were extremely rare. Like the black patterned pillars, they couldn't even get close. As for Peak World and Flow Mountain, most of them were natural environments. Some rocks etc. could be easily broken by attacks, naturally they couldn't be embedded. Hence, there were very few objects that could allow a warrior to cling to them. However, Luo Feng and the others were currently within the tomb boat. The tomb boat, even normal ground, could withstand the attacks of the strongest warriors in the universe. Those stone and crystal pillars were personally left behind by Duandong for the inheritance tests. They were even more indestructible. Such a thing was almost impossible to encounter. However, coincidentally, they were within the tomb boat, and coincidentally, a powerful warrior was using a palace treasure to absorb it. Hence, such a thing happened. The warriors present weren't fools, they couldn't believe it at first. However, they quickly understood the intricacies within. Damn! Lucky bastard! Even though the treasure is strong, just the swallowing energy alone can't break the crystal pillar. And it's even more impossible for it to break a pinnacle treasure. Looks like there's really no other way. Ah, that human Milky Way is clinging to that crystal pillar, it's his own crystal pillar. Even if he hides in there forever, he can still display the Emperor within the pillar. Many warriors immediately understood the intricacies, they all gritted their teeth, incomparably furious, but what could they do? Sigh. There's no way to deal with him once and for all. Emperor Reed Master, Return the ice cliff castle to me. The seventh true lord spoke. Emperor Reed Master hesitated. He exchanged glances with the other warriors, finally exchanging treasures with the seventh true lord, taking back the treasures from the East Emperor's sacred land. With things reaching such a stage, the three great powers were all furious. There's no other way, we can only use the stupid method. Attack it! Material attacks, soul attacks. Attack after attack. This is only a pinnacle palace treasure, maybe it's better against material attacks, but it definitely can't defend against soul attack. With his soul attacked, I don't believe he can still calmly study the Emperor's Shi game. We might even kill him with our souls. Alright. Attack together. Immediately the 7 Universe Lords attacked Luo Feng again, however at this time Luo Feng was hiding within the Star Pagoda, like an unmoving target, allowing them to attack him. Soul attacks can't penetrate at all, his palace treasure is very special, it should be made of special materials, the holified god energy can't penetrate, able to block all soul attacks. Very quickly, the 7 Universe Lords realized this. There were some materials that could block the holified god energy. Like the Calamity Armor, it could weaken all soul attacks by 10%. Demon Destroyer Armor, it could weaken all soul attacks by 1%. Like the Tomb Boat, it could completely block all soul attack. Star Pagoda, even the strongest treasures. If placed within the body, it could protect the soul. And if placed outside, the body could hide within. Then the Star Pagoda could easily block all soul attack. As for material attacks, some of the impact force was transmitted inside, but no supreme treasure could completely block the impact force. However, under the protection of a supreme treasure, material attacks could not break through the treasure, so the impact force was negligible. This treasure can actually block soul attacks. It really is an extreme treasure, second only to the strongest. Damn it! Then let's use the material attacks. It's just a pinnacle treasure, under the impact, I don't believe he can calm down and study the Emperor's Shi game. The 7 Universe Lords were enraged and had no other choice, they could only angrily use their treasures to attack the Star Pagoda again and again, like blacksmiths hammering and hacking with their treasures, smashing the Star Pagoda, causing it to tremble time and time again. Of course, the trembling was fake. The previous tremors from being swallowed were all fake. These attacks to the absolute treasure Star Pagoda weren't even enough to scratch an itch. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidian.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation.